What is up, y'all? It's your boy Anarchy coming at you with another live stream for the Church of MHA on this fine Sunday. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Now, today we're starting off with Archbishop East.
Undefeated of the East, baby. What it do?
And then we got Bishop Squid in the building. Wait, is Bishop Squid still here? Nope, Bishop Squid is gone again. It's crazy.
Hey, hold on, I'm still here. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go do something real quick.
Yeah, come in, come on, come on, file in. Letting the church know we live, baby. How y'all in the chat that's already here? How did y'all feel about the chapter?
Without spoiling.
Yeah, without spoiling. I ain't read it yet. Don't do me like that. Yo, Adam D. Blur, T. Lamar Arlington. All right, let's go. Philip. Yep. See, Nadir. You've been consistent in them arrivals. I appreciate that. Brendan De La Cruz here at the beginning. I know you loving when you hear it in the beginning. Let's go. Y'all know we just gotta hit a certain number. And that's when we start the chapter.
Oh, make sure y'all like the stream, following in. Like the stream, follow in. Y'all like the stream. Y'all don't take nothing but 2 seconds if you're already here.
Let's see how many people we got. 24. Yep, made it. Yep. All right, we at 24. Let them follow in. Hey, Almighty Fish and Feed Blitz. Let's go. People pulling up. The regulars. We love to see you. We love to see the regulars.
Like the stream. Y'all pulling in, like the stream.
What's up, Fish Max? Julian Burns. Let's go.
What's up, Fish Max?
Brother Ponzu is busy.
Very
he may be out there courting some women. I'm not gonna say for sure. I just happened to see on one of the sites. You know, Bishop Ponzu is smooth in his free time.
What's up, Brandon?
Marvin Gaye.
All right, bet. You know what? We actually got a pretty good in here to actually like ratios. We're gonna start right now. Now. 313.
Less.
My Hero Academia. Let's go. My regulars are here. I'll keep them fed. All right. Open up with all my hitting the skirt. Any cards besides Hercules here would have been blown to bits. Ooh.
New name.
Still
it's the Hercules.
Still getting jumped with the Thunder Spears from AOT. They aren't mere thieves. I sense clear murderous intent. If this isn't a dumb prank, then they're trying to split up me and the boy.
What type of prank? Sorry.
The boy's being targeted by an assassin. Ooh.
Like I told y'all, she had them other niggas out there in the streets. She can go alone.
That's All Might. Don't whip up now. You know what we're here for. Besides, check out his wasted body. The real All Might died a long time ago. Darn right. Stand aside. Hey, I think we're gonna get that thing that people have been like hoping for, which is All Might fighting the support gear. But I don't know. That boy has worn so much more than I ever have have a burden I forced on him. Whatever happens to you, I'll be there changing fate by your side. And still he idolizes me. The day anything happens to that kid is the day I die. Oh, you should have said
that. That
nigga. Man, you really like cursing your own existence type beat.
Of course, we want to remind y'all what's going to happen. So, yo, look at this fucking shot, dog.
See, this is what I was talking about. It's not that Horikoshi couldn't do good choreography. These characters kind of earned it yet.
I told niggas why the fucking adults I got all the best fights in the series because they're at the top of the verse.
I'll zigzag toward her and stay out of her line of sight to prevent her from tracking my trajectory. Assuming Lady Nagant doesn't have a way to move as fast as I can with one for all, I'll reach her before she can reposition herself. That's when I'll make her reveal All for One and Shigaraki's location. Straight from behind. Ooh. Ew, grazed by one. But how? Hitting me from behind will only be possible with some kind of remote control quirk. Does she have backup? No, I don't sense any hostility or bloodless nearby. No, wait, damn it. Why didn't I consider that possibility before? Of course, often wanted to give a contractor some extra thing. Oops. Use an airwalk. Firing the gun. That shot that hit me in the back came from the side with the wicket curve. The closer we are, the more intuitively she can shoot, and the less there is a need for her to calculate my position. She wants to stop me and capture me alive, right? But after I blocked that shot, she decided to get closer. Being closer means quicker shots in succession. Even the fourth can't help me react faster. So how about, okay, so I was thinking about, before we even skip to the next page, I was thinking about this where I was like, man, what if Deku generates a bunch of smoke and then flicks it so that it bounces all up into the air so she can't use her aerial advantage against him?
Oh, yeah.
Just keep.
Because that would be a callback to the USJ. So.
I remember this panel a lot.
Because... The 6th full blast. Another quirk, so he's got multiple too. This kid's got secret for days. Smoke everywhere. Whoa, now, Ninth, did you forget already? That much smoke output places you at risk. You're up against a high-speed, long-range mobile cannon, aka an attack helicopter. Those of you who watched my solo review know what's up. So the second you emerge from the smoke, you're sitting duck. You've cut off your own escape route. I'm not trying to escape. I'm just buying time for now. Don't even try it. That's too dangerous. I don't recommend it either. I know exactly what you're trying to do, but you're not proficient enough yet. You've admitted it yourself. First, figure out how to handle 2 processes at once subconsciously. Once you've got that down, throw in another thing. You haven't even tested my quirk yet. Before adding it to your parallel processes, you need to get a feel for how it works. It's a bit too late for that. Once Lady Nagat tells me what I need to know, off one and Shigaraki are next. Guess I'll learn this one on the fly. Sorry to use your cape like this, Gran Torino. Ooh. The thirds. Fa, G.
These shots, bro, are fucking unreal.
Let's see, we got the scope. I was wondering if she was able to make her own scope for these shots or not, which means, yeah. All right, even better. This is...
Bro,
all right, she's zooming in, see, fires. It's a decoy. Damn, what's he up to? Woof, woof, woof. You got some nerve. Hide in the smoke all you want, like you won't get away. Too bad. Ooh, I'm not a dude. Busted through the building.
Talking shit, son.
Grab that arm too. Like, let's go.
That nigga talking that shit, boy. That go up here cursing, talking shit.
All right, so we might finally get to see a wrestling move out of this boy. Let's see him whip her into the building. Let's see his Oklahoma smash.
Oh God, he coming. It's so beautiful how he's coming to his own. He ain't used a smash attack yet, and then coming to his own.
What I also like about this though is that we didn't actually see what the quirk did.
You go ahead.
All right, so Fajin, from what I researched, it's essentially like releasing like internal energy without like actually making a movement. Kind of like think of like there's many types of definitions for it, but I guess the more like mystical definition of it is it's like a strike without a strike.
Oh, I know. Never mind. This is the iron nail technique from Tenjo Tenge and stuff. The range chi moves. Okay.
Basically, think of like Neji using his trigram palms without hitting you, essentially.
Yeah.
But he can use it in any part of his body, more so to speak. So it's not just a 1-inch punch. It can be boosted to any part of his body he so pleases. Once he gets down to full mastery of it.
Yeah, this is basically it'll allow him to what it looks. No, this is
Kyle Ken is full Cal.
Yeah.
Up until like when it gets 100%, then it's Super Saiyan. But Kyle Ken in this general thing is full Cal.
No, as somebody said, like Fajin is basically the 8 gates. It's if you like look into it, it's basically the manipulation of ki and the flow of energy. And then in addition to that, it extends to far hand attack. So those of you who have never read Tenjo Tenge, which I do have a copy some it's a series that focuses heavily on martial arts. And one of the first techniques that the protagonist Sorichiro Nagi learns is the Iron Forge Needle technique, in which you learn how to do a far strike. So you'll throw a punch and then it'll create the explosion / impact a certain distance away. He learned by punching skillets that were set a certain distance apart, and when he punched the first one, the second one would move. So that's the kind of stuff that the Fajin principle like ties into the like Tao chakras and stuff like that. So yeah, that was what I got just by looking at the quick definition, the incorporation of its concepts. So he's really basically, it's kind of like getting a second Ant to One for All, but not as much so.
You see, I realized once again, I realized why all these quirks exist. Now, I just put it together while Horikoshi gave this nigga this quirk too, because I was like, all right, yeah, I got 100%, like 100% smashes are like. Me, Aniki, me, you are both of the same mind that by the end of this series, he won't consistently reach 100%, right? That'll just be safe for the final fight. Yeah, we're in the same boat in that regard. Like, he'll definitely be up there, but it won't be a full 100% master of the quirk until he won't be using that as like the last battle when he needs it. But it's gonna be that when I was realizing this is that Shigaraki was tanking a bunch of 100% smashes. He wasn't tanking. He wasn't eating them, but he was damn sure fighting through those holes enough that his regeneration wasn't up to par either. So it wasn't immediately regenerated. He was mainly getting hit back to back at super fast speeds, but he was still able to be conscious within that shit and still been able to keep moving. Well, he couldn't move as much as he could because he was trapped. But essentially it's like that. So when I'm thinking, I was like, damn, Deku gonna need more than just his 100% smashes to actually damage Shigaraki, because Shigaraki's body at 75% was so durable with no quirks and not really generation fucking up.
That built different.
Just built different. So when I realized this, I made a tweet once again, the Joker Lab tweet. I realized this nigga Deku needs that extra quirk to actually damage Shigaraki with some real deal type beat. That means when that nigga wakes up, bro, like I forgot who said something about like Shigaraki letting the heroes go. I don't know what planet you living on, but bro, I want y'all to prepare. When that nigga wakes up, a different breed isn't the word I use. Because I told y'all the only reason the way Shigaraki can surpass All For One at this point is by sheer like being a monster. Because he can't match the intellect that All For One has in the fucking planning. Okay? So the only way to surpass this nigga, just how Deku has to surpass All Might, is being like that nigga. Because he can't do it by brains. Jiggernaut not stupid, but All For One is just on his eyes and gimmick. Yeah, on a gimmick, like on his eyes and gimmick. So like, bro, trying to let y'all know now, when that nigga wakes up, they weren't playing about him being like, I don't know what Horikoshi essentially has in mind, but good lord, because his durability alone is insane without regeneration. So imagine he had a durability quirk supercharged on top of that.
Ooh, Mr. Weatherbucks.
Oh yeah, like I could see like the Fajin kind of acting like a counter to his regeneration because it's directly damaging his internals.
So basically, this is when they said all of the quirks will not amount to a super move, they literally meant none of them are going to be their own super move. And it's only going to be the utilization of Fajin in conjunction with the amount of force that One For All can generate. But what that also might allow is for the attacks to be like more focused. So like a 100% smash that doesn't create a storm, but instead just blows the person's back out.
Basically, and you're dealing. Oh, what's up? Yeah, now we can move it. What's up, Tarnish? But nah, if you keep it like that, it's like, bro, like. Nigga, like, yeah, he would need to do that because that nigga Sugar. I'm stressing enough. I'm trying to save y'all. When this nigga wakes up, that hype, all that won't be blowing smoke up Sugar. They're not blowing smoke up Shigaraki ass for no reason. That like they're gonna Deku sound the greatest hero for a reason because they gonna have to stop the greatest evil you have ever seen.
Like Deku versus Shigaraki. And okay, so it's kind of funny to me that people will be like, I don't want Deku to end up being the greatest hero as a teenager. And I'm like, first off, to this day, there's niggas mad that we didn't see Naruto be the Hokage in the series and he would have finished that shit at like 17, 18. So off rip, let's keep the same energy. But also, I'm gonna just say that the
Wait,
thing
hold
that
on. Didn't he have to go through like a couple years
yeah,
of like
but yeah, they decided to
bureaucracy?
make hold on, yeah. They decided to make Naruto do the bureaucracy, which I actually like because he wouldn't have been a good Hokage if he didn't have all that knowledge. So, you know, him being forced to actually learn how shit works was smart. Uh, but yeah, moreover though, what I was just gonna say is that like, but if you look at what a lot of these other pro heroes have done, whenever a pro hero goes solo early, they make it a point to emphasize, oh, this pro hero did it at 18. This pro hero did it at 18. So like the only thing that can set Deku apart is literally like doing it before the age of 18. So I mean, kind of gotta suck that up. You gotta accept that one. That like he's gonna have to put in that work.
Maybe it's like the day he turns 18, he becomes the number. Okay, depending on like how the rankings, or if there even is rankings, like let's just say he becomes the greatest hero like the age he turns 18.
See, and honestly, what I'm starting to suspect is that the way that the greatest hero conversation is, like when we were talking about, oh yeah, like whether or not we should call the next stream the Heroes Billboard chart, whether or not the next hero, like a Heroes Billboard chart, is even going to be a thing. I don't think that it necessarily is going to come down to Deku is on paper. There's like a plaque that says Deku is the greatest hero, 100% necessarily, depending on where society is at the end of the series. But you could get it to be where Deku is the greatest hero because a lot of people actually believe in Deku.
Yeah, and then at that, and there's always a confusing point where, like, because it depends on what you're looking at. If you're looking at the original Japanese one, I guess, and that's the one that said greatest hero, because the English version and on Viz says great hero, and then the anime said greatest hero, I believe, again. So it's depending on which one you're looking at. But of course, he would be the greatest hero. Shiraki's being the greatest evil. I think people are it's greatest. It's not number one. Isn't a ranking anymore at this point. It's not about rankings. I kind of people not guess processing that fully. Number rankings don't matter. Didn't you just see the nigga at like and the niggas in top 10 drop out because shit got hard? Yorai Musha. So just because you at the top and you got a rank, that don't matter. That popularity poll shit is dead. It doesn't matter who. Like I said, they're kind of trying to install like on the sideline, like being number one or number two, number three. It don't really matter. It matters what they said. Who's left right now? Does it matter what rank they are, or does it matter if they in the streets doing what needs to be done? That's the point of it. Not you be number one, you be number two. It's like, nigga, are you a hero or are you not? Bro, John Wheelerwalt, it mattered a long time. They mattered a while ago, bro. It don't matter if you the number 5 hero, number 6, number 206.
Hold up. You can't sit there and say that number of rankings are like super important, because you need to realize that, you know how like in Naruto people talk about like, oh, Kakashi gets all this respect, but like he doesn't deliver on it. One of the things that kind of gets like overlooked with Aizawa is that he actually gets tons of respect from like every villain. That as soon as a villain recognizes Aizawa, they're like, this dude, and then they get folded. With like the single exception being effectively Shigaraki and Nomu, but Nomu didn't actually know it was him.
Well, yeah. Well, Shigaraki actually said, acknowledged that Razorhead is cool though. The multiple times he's like, "You're so cool," and he's like, "Like twice." He did it twice.
Like Aizawa isn't near the top 10 as far as we know. Like he's not a super popular hero. He didn't focus on being a super popular hero. But Aizawa is definitely so important as a combatant and as an asset that you could argue he's easily considered like top 50 worthy.
I mean, in the universe, he's known as a guy that works at night and he hates media.
Exactly.
So he's not going to be super famous. So his numbers aren't going to look like, oh, he's like, but he's still up there. Oh yeah, my boy flexed in 4K. That was my explosive son. Very proud. Good job, Studio Bones. Also, the way that they I was wondering how they'd show the way he folded Bondo casually, and they did such a good job with that sneak. Like just bop, 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 bop. All right, keep going, keep going.
Yeah, he fucking folded Mantis. That shit was goddamn. He folded Mantis a little bit too disrespectful, bro. Like they threw that nigga off to the side. He was spinning around with that nigga head. Oh, like, bro, damn, bro.
That's how X Catapult was supposed to be. So like seeing it like, and that smile on his face as he was like, I'm gonna yeet this man.
Hey, we got super chat.
Yep. Nadir says the My Hero fandom has aggravated me so much lately. I'm thinking about just watching you guys in anime lately and not bothering with the rest. I don't want to encourage you to exist within an echo chamber, but I do want to say that I consider that like these to be two of the best platforms for those discussions. So if the other fandoms are lacking, we'll cover your back.
Yeah, shout out to you, Solo Me, because I was going to use that example anyway, because I love how to I love Gas and Majestic, although he did. I wish I got more of him. Yeah, they already said in the data, but Majestic had the power level to be at the top 10. He just wasn't in the top 10.
Yeah, like
it just goes to show not everybody. Some people try harder for popularity poll's sake, and this, that, the other. Some people just got it because they got it. It's like there's a lot of factors. There's a lot of factors that go into it, but at the end of the day, it's mainly a popularity contest. Endeavor saw more cases than All Might, but All Might was more popular. He literally said like, yeah, I could have, if I really wanted to just smile and play the fool, I could have did that shit. But that's what I was trying to fucking do to get to the top.
Yeah, he's like, I was trying to literally be so strong that everybody was like, damn, he that strong. Like, All Might is effectively a force of nature. So in turn, like Endeavor wanted to be like looked at like the sun, like that fiery heat that like kept everyone warm in the winter and burned away all villainy. Like, and yes, season 5 has been one of the most consistent, and I like this pacing because it means that we definitely shouldn't, like, we might not just sprint all the way to the start of the war arc. Instead, we'll hopefully just do like halfway through Endeavor Agency, which would make me very happy because it means that like Dobby versus Gaten would be fleshed out more.
I'm still
this means the gas.
I'm still in the mind that one of the best points to end it on is when Endeavor's talking to them and they like walk forward. All three of the boys walk forward behind Endeavor, and like the wind's flowing at them or something like that.
Yeah,
he's like, that was like, see, that's the fucking shit you could do in the anime, like Endeavor narrating, or you do it at the double spread, with like the kids are growing faster than me, this, that, and the other.
Right, like we don't, and grape juice never gonna be number one. We're making sure of that. And yeah,
what is that gas?
The pacing art, yep, Majora.
I think with like when it comes to like power levels and stuff in the series, I think that's kind of hard to quantify. The way I read that statement was like he was as capable as the other top 10s. But look at how sorry Yoroi was. I don't think that's a compliment, son. I'm sorry.
Well, the way I look at it is, let's be real for a second. Has Genis racked up any feats that you feel like make him way clear of Edgeshot?
No, I'd say like there are some clear advantages Edgeshot has, but you also have to add in like a Genis popularity and the fact he's like a world-renowned fashion model.
And that was my point, though, is that like I don't think like Genis is skilled, but there's a good chunk of the top 10 that I think could fight Genis toe to toe, like pretty easily. Where I don't think
honestly have Edgeshot beating Genis, to be honest. It's just a really bad matchup for him.
I don't think Genis beats Gangorka.
To be honest with you,
I mean, like, you know, listen. If Gangorka decides to go commando and just start yelling, I
mean, and then
he's winning that fight.
and then who you got between Genis and Mirio?
I definitely got Mirio.
That nigga stay naked anyway. If you want to, nigga stay naked anyway.
Taking off his pants. And like at that point, like I don't even know it. And plus, he has to have a thread connected to his own like being, so he can manipulate it. So I don't think he's gonna be able to get that thread, and I doubt he's just gonna pack like a whole helicopter worth of carbon fiber for every fight. That's just unreasonable.
Exactly. So
imagine you just got to bring like a whole helicopter in every fight. I mean, what if someone shoots that helicopter down? It's pretty worthless, huh?
So look. I see the Crust versus Genis matchup mentioned. So real quick, I want to address that. And honestly, Crust is the kind of hero that would be willing to fight naked. Same as Mirko. Like if Genus was something like alternate timeline, Genus is a bad dude. Crust will pop out shields to cut off his own clothing and fight you naked before he lets you commit villainy. So yeah, like I don't think Genus is beating Crust either. Like I do think Genus is more useful, but I don't think he's beating Crust.
Yeah.
Like in terms of like who gets to like straight up like fold someone, like I got a lot of top 10s over Genus. I even have some guys outside of him, out in terms of heroes that would fold that guy. Most notably Aizawa, simply because when you take off like his ability to like manipulate thread super well, you end up with like a skinny fashion model. And Aizawa, he puts work in the gym, so it's like, and he's a trained martial artist, so he's gonna fold him.
It's not even Genus slander. We just addressing to the fact that the dude is reliant on his fame more than his ability to fold people.
Hey man, listen, Genus, he a GOAT, okay? But we don't gonna call a spade. All right? Yeah, y'all be getting all different when when your favorite be called out.
Hey, nah, we don't need to talk about what would happen if Genus tried to fight Aizawa. Bro, neck would be normal size. After Aizawa was done with it, like
he smacked that motherfucker down. He kicked that motherfucker down 3 inches. Damn, Genus is a PR king. That's crazy. I mean, he is a model, bro. Nobody doing better than Genus.
Hey, listen, he probably got like a bunch of like James Charles type scandals, but I'll keep quiet about that one.
Nah, hold on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, if Davi hadn't been playing with his food, as soon as Genus would have shown up, he would have died. But like because Davi was like fighting around and like having his fun, like nah, if Genus had like pulled up like 30 seconds earlier, like at the same time, it'd be like, I'm gonna rain down. Nah, right there. Davi would have been like, what? You alive still? That ain't working. Cook. So like I was saying, Hawks killed Genus. Like that's how that would have gone. Like
since we talking about this, I got some topics for us. Since we talk about quirk matchups, I'll do the first topic.
I mean, I'll give a hot take, right? But wait, before you do that, I'll give one hot take. I think a stabilized high end isn't going to lose to any hero.
No, you got that one. You got that one. You got that one. Oh, you get. And that,
all right,
hey.
so you complete your sentence.
You know what? That's a tough one because we got to look at it kind of differently now because Endeavor was going for a capture instead of kill. And like we used that analogy before, or whatever analogy, metaphor, whatever the scenario before, it's like when you fighting with your little siblings, and you just trying to, you're not actually aiming to kill those motherfuckers. You're just trying to like subdue them. But subduing people is way harder than killing them because you don't have to hold back when you're killing them. Yeah,
but you also have to add in the fact that even when he wasn't holding back,
Hawks,
no, hold on. Hood shared both the power advantage and the speed advantage.
So real quick, my thing about that is that if like Endeavor, for example, like when he pulled up, it was like boom, flash fire fist. The thing was like, I'm getting cooked. If Endeavor was like, oh shit, a high end, he would have just like lit it on fire and then like hell spidered it and then just diced and diced until it was dead. So like to a certain degree, it's like if Endeavor was going for a lethal shot right away, he actually could like, just instantly like mince one of them.
Yeah, but we later see with the more intelligent ones, even when they're unstabilized, like
right.
let's like my prime example of like what a monster like a stabilized high end would be is Woman. Even when she even after like 5 minutes of being just born, she was already deducing, this person has this type of quirk off of various knowledge on how Aizawa was operating. Like, and keep in mind, as they stabilize, they're getting bigger. Woman ended up like 15 feet before, she got jumped by like 30 heroes. Which RIP to my dog, but
hey, that also will take into account. You got to take into account the factors at play. This is my hero, and niggas are still may have superhuman abilities, but they are still human. The reason why the fights don't drag on is because niggas can't fight for 5 days like this is One Piece or some shit.
Yes, but that's why.
But he already exerted his energy and got injured badly by the time he was realized, all right, I can't really fuck around and try to capture this nigga. I gotta murk his ass. But by the time you already exerted an extensive amount of injury and got a real dangerous energy, and then you have a real bad injury. Yes, so he would have to go at 100%, and then it'd be a little bit different, and it's still hard to gauge.
Like, yes, but okay. One of the things that I would say also is that Endeavor using a move like Hell's Curtain would stun a no move. There's certain things that Endeavor didn't do in that fight before he was already injured that would have mattered a ton. Like, so for example, Hawks, I don't think Hawks actually, like with Quirk Hawks, I don't think he actually beats any of the high ends.
No, he already said he had the power. So
like, yeah, like I don't think, like regardless, I don't think he's getting into that brainstem. None of it. Like it ain't happening. Because he could barely get like a full cut, like clean cut through some of the mid-tier ones. So Hawks, yeah, I agree. Like I think Hawks actually loses. Mirko 1v1, we've seen her actually like
straight up chop off a high end's arm.
Like, yeah, and like pull off one's head. So like 1v1, depending, it would come down to what the quirks the thing had at that point, you know. Crust, I actually Crust is really hard to judge because he can react to some of their attacks. But I don't know if he's got like the overall damage output necessary.
I think he does. He was just in a bad situation when he fought the one he fought because his shield cut off that one nigga hand like
the crown type Nomu.
Yeah, and he's really versatile too. From what we've seen, you've seen him like spread out his fucking shield.
Yeah, he had like that instant shield.
Yeah, so it's
like
yeah, he was just in a bad quirk matchup because Fat Boy is fucking blocking away, and it's like if I'm shooting you, like I can't use blunt force to get you back out like that, or I can use precision, but you just fat, you absorption blob, which that nigga was. I'm just in a bad matchup, and then plus maybe different, and they were out in the field. But that nigga just blocking the door, and we fucking can't get him out because all he doing is regenerating and eating everything I'm hitting him with. So they were in a tough position at that point, like just a bad matchup, a bad situation.
Yoroi Musha, I'm gonna say loses. Wash, I think he stands a chance.
He definitely stands a chance.
Just because of like the water quirk in of itself goes a long way. I'm not too sure about Kamui Woods.
We ain't seen his peak yet. He got done. He got bad matchup, just like bitch ass bird. He got a bad matchup.
I think Edshot could do it, but
not Edshot definitely got it because Redestro got it. Redestro got it. I give Redestro that.
Well, Redestro arguably was nerfed though.
You're right.
Like one from his legs, two. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think he was using Burden, or at least he wasn't using it like he was using it against Shigaraki, because they had so many allies.
Yeah, so he was held back to a certain institute, and that was probably definitely the Edshot favorite because Edshot has precision movements. So even the Edshot was surrounded by 100 of his friends, he could move around those 100 of those friends,
right?
In order to get you.
I feel like we're ignoring like the Nomu's greatest advantage, not just, at least the high end's ability to contain pretty good amounts of intelligence, like in cases with women, and to hold multiple quirks. Honestly, I think their biggest advantage is that they can't tire. They can like the heroes in the series can be pretty superhuman, but at the end of the day, the stuff that would normally like destroy them, like the things that you think would reasonably severely damage them ends up severely damaging them. But with the Nomu, they just keep working until they die at full capacity.
So this is why like somebody was like, what 1A students do you think could fight a fully realized high end?
None.
In this, I hope they talk about in the series. I hope they talk about in the series.
Like
it'd be worse than it'd be worse than 1A versus Mirio. That's how bad it'd be.
No. That's a little overblown. Oh. Specifically because we've seen like Ida and like we've seen injured Bakugo and Ida both manage to like distract and not get touched by high ends. Where I don't think it's impossible for them to fight them, which also means by extension it's not impossible for Deku to fight one. Though I do think that this is weird because I feel like Ida, Bakugo, and Deku would be able to do what it takes. I think Shota would fuck up and die because he holds back too long. Does that make sense?
My thing is, okay, let's say you even
got
give
super
me...
chat, so hold on.
Okay.
Blast. Deku probably getting Deku versus Kachan 2 again, thinking he won, then getting smacked. Oof.
We gonna touch back on that. Squid, finish what you got to say, because Tyler Hawk said, I said stand a chance, full on fight or beats.
The thing is, like, even if we like hypothetically gave 1A the advantage, like a UA student the advantage, right? Like with 2A, like eventually they're just gonna tire, and very few of them besides like Deku, Bakugo, like Tokoyami at night can provide enough damage to where they actually stand a chance against the high ends.
Right.
So, like, even if there was a power disadvantage, which for majority of the students is just not even the case, they would just tire out, and then that's when the Nomu would take over.
Yeah, that's why I was like literally the only ones who could possibly do it are like Bakugo, because explosions are kind of big and powerful, and if he does a big one and like just blows up half his body, there's a chance that he hits the brain and just destroys the brain. But like, and that's why Shoto could potentially do it if he did it right, but more than, because like if he froze it, that brief second, if he was actually willing to do what he needs to do, he could instantly like freeze and then just melt the brain off or whatever. But he doesn't usually like use his firepower like that, so like he wouldn't do what it takes. Whereas I think Ida would be like, I'm not getting touched, and this thing is crazy. I should probably try to kick its face off. And like with Deku, like it would be kind of like the same thing, where after a while he just kind of stomp its head in something if he could.
But you just covered Ida, right?
Yeah, Ida would basically just not get touched and then eventually get a good shot on its brain, possibly.
I mean, he was already doing that in the war, though.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, so like all it would take is like, but in the war, he was making sure to not get hit by like 4 of them. Whereas if he's getting a 1v1, then there's a chance he's actually fast enough to just not be seen or reacted to in time.
No, the Hercules is definitely a thing for the Greek mythology. The person, like I don't know the Aniki, you might know more about the beetle, but no, there's plenty of Greek references from Tartarus to the niggas that were even Garter, and Tartarus were names of people that guarded Titans that guarded Tartarus before Helios or whatever the niggas' names were that got bodied in 2 seconds.
So the Cider House gang?
No, he's talking about Briareus.
Yeah, the niggas that were brothers that were guarding.
The Hecatoncheires.
Yeah, that were guarding Tartarus. There's just lots of Greek references from.
So
that's why Hercules is the name of the card, because it's built like that.
I always found it interesting that he referred to Tartarus as a god, which technically he's not wrong. He's a primordial, while also being like a realm in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
I found that distinction very interesting because it's not often recognized.
Hey, and I told you, man, these goddamn night chapters. I was asking Horror, begging Horror for this shit, and then when I finally got it, it was worth the time because there's no more fitting time than now for the night chapters.
The gas pack.
Yeah, but back to Art Blast. So now we can talk about this because there's something I wanted to point out because niggas overhyping and overgassing Deku.
Also correct, Philip.
What did he say?
Oh, he was pointing out that Hercules is the Roman spelling. You're supposed to go with Heracles, which means the glory of Hera for the Greek. Also the bigger irony to that is that Heracles was straight up hated by Hera. So though while the mother was willing to dedicate the son to the goddess, the goddess was not happy with him. Which is also why, for those of you who read One Piece, Hera Zeus, there you go. What? Hey, Church, do you think Uraraka will slap Deku? I want Uraraka to slap Deku. I may not have gotten Inko slapping All Might, but Uraraka better slap him.
I mean, I feel like they can just talk it out. But
ain't gonna be no talking. She gonna be barring the nigga the fuck up because he ain't gonna have no words. He ain't gonna have nothing to say in his defense because they already told that nigga start doing that shit. So ain't gonna be no. Well, I had to know. Nobody trying to hear that shit. They're gonna bar that nigga the fuck up. So it's gonna be, or if she don't slap him, she gonna bar him up. But back to R Blast. Now we cover your super chat, and I'll start with this one. He said Deku probably getting Deku versus Kachan 2 again, thinking he won, then getting smacked. Yeah, that's what I'm also in the mind too, because people overhyping and overgassing Deku was like, well, when he got super strength and super speed, what's she gonna do when he get 45%? He get up in her face. Motherfucker, did you not see Endeavor barely dodging out Shigaraki at 75%? Speed and reflexes matter too. And these niggas, and Endeavor was getting tossed around like a rag doll. Everybody in the war on the fucking other side of the thing were getting inhumane like fucking injuries, and they should have been the fuck out. So even if she got thrown out through the building, there's nothing saying she's gonna be fucking KO. We seen these niggas get thrown through buildings and knocked down and stabbed and other shit. Yeah, y'all really just downplaying because she a woman. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I mean, it was a bigger built nigga. Y'all would not have been saying the same shit. I promise you. Niggas thinking she just like some frail old woman. Like she has capabilities hand to hand too. Sniper's a training expert. Like
delete that comment. I know where you sleep, nigga.
Who the fuck?
Don't compare Sakura to Uraraka. I literally know where you sleep. Redact that.
Hey, bro. Yeah, you better take that off. You got about 10 seconds before you don't see you again. And think I'm playing. Nigga. I got the clock on. So that bitch ain't going in 10 seconds, John. Best believe you be going. Bye-bye.
I'm gonna have to pack this nigga up.
Fuck wrong with you. Yeah, but
13 years of friendship wasted.
Wow, disrespect my man name. Anyway, so I was looking at the scans, right? Because I'm like,
no, we're gonna address our blood chat a little bit more, because
okay, but
this is
after
the issue
that,
we need to go.
Okay, but after that, I want to share some foundings.
So the other thing about this though is that just because you guys are covering the why he would lose, I'm gonna just say that like technically Deku is in a position where it depends on how ruthless you want to be. And if he's ruthless with it, he could spin, flicker, and then just do a giant Detroit Air Force. And then boom, launch her into a building. She's laid out after getting hit by like 4 different air blasts at once, get some stuff popping. And then like he'll land by Overhaul and then be like, wait, why is Overhaul get shot? I wouldn't be surprised because like I could see Deku having the physical ability. At the end of the day, she's a sniper. When you get on a sniper's ass, that's usually GG. So I could see like Horikoshi like honoring that and like playing into that particular type of weakness, but then turning around and making like Deku being distracted by one of his old villains popping up. Like, oh wait, why is he here? Wow. All right. Yeah, like Tyler Hawks.
But snipers have expert hand-to-hand combat though. At the same time, that's a confirmed fact.
Yeah,
like, most snipers are trained.
That is a requirement.
Yeah, but I'm not saying. Hold on. Because we also got to like factor in that there's a difference between like trained and expert hand-to-hand combat and actually getting a bunch of like hand-to-hand combat like experience. Because of course a sniper is going to be trained in it, but she was actually a good sniper, which means when was she actually using it?
She was. Hold on, you finished?
Yeah, like when was she actually using it? Because think about it, she should be from 3 kilometers away. She wasn't having to like fight niggas.
But I'm pretty sure she was in the field for at least 4 to 5, at least more than 4 to 5 years. I'm pretty sure she had at least one occasion or two. Now she ain't outclassing Deku entirely, but she's not. People try to make her seem like she's completely and utterly helpless. If Deku right now in this point in time, Deku has an advantage. How many times do advantages change?
I feel like we're ignoring the most obvious detail right now. She has a belt full of grenades. I really think she could do something with them.
She does. She's not a one-trick pony.
But she's not. So having a bunch of grenades on you isn't exactly helpful if the person you're trying to blow up is holding you.
I mean, you can kind of create a hostage situation with yourself.
I mean, let me go or I'll blow myself up. How about I just throw you with Black Whip and then like you still can't move?
I mean, you still pull like the trigger, you still end up with like all I'm saying is that she can create a hostage situation where he has to let go of her.
I'm about to address real quick.
All right, but after that, I want to discuss some of my findings.
Don't worry. All right, Joseph. We'll get you got super chat, so we'll go you first. But we'll wrap back around real quick.
Yeah, Joseph Ciola asked, "Has any character ever hoisted their own death flag the way All Might did in this chapter?" I don't think so. Like,
no, nobody has ever. I haven't seen anybody say ever hoist a fucking death flag like this nigga had. That nigga was. Woo.
All Might be like, so here's all the reasons you should be thinking about me dying.
Exactly. Yeah, no, Google, you got a point. That's something I was about to add on to. Then as I would say, you can't be a hero if you only have one trick. That's what I'm saying. Like, she's just been using her average sniper so far. Like, she just got airwalk. That's just a new trick. Like the kids only be having one trick opponents and just like one or two moves. She, I'm pretty sure, has multiple moves and some experience up her belt. That's what I'm trying to. The difference is experience. Yes, Deku got 45%, but A Tarnish, Shin and Ryuku and half of these other niggas been out the paint when it was fucking folded and thrown around by Shigaraki and stomped out, literally. Like, some of these niggas have extra durability too.
So the other thing then you have to factor in, though, is how long was she in prison? Because, like, if she's been in prison for 4 or 5 years, she ain't been boxing nobody in prison.
So that's like 5 years of solitary confinement.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, there's a lot of things that go against her being able to fight Deku hand to hand. But I do think we're gonna get more explanations on her quirk next chapter, and then that'll be what determines.
Although one thing I really I'd like to note is I love how she implements the use of airwalk, where she's using it to where, combined with the recoil from her rifle fire, she propels herself to another position. I find that really cool.
Oh yeah,
this very versatile thinking.
Yeah, she has a contingency plan. She didn't just pull up. Like, if Hawks told that nigga Deku to run at that point, like, she has a contingency plan. Just because he got in close. Like, let me explain this as clear cut as I can, and y'all motherfuckers gonna listen when I say this and hold on to every single word that come out of my mouth.
All right.
She not bodying Deku or winning a fight hand-to-hand combat against Deku. She just not fucking helpless as a bunny rabbit when Deku was up close. All you need is a split second to get that distance away from him, and if she use her shot like she been doing at airwalk, she good. Like, he can take like a slam or a punch, like something. Deku, like you said, depending on how ruthless Deku want to be, even if he slammed through the building, she may still have a contingency plan on back. Y'all think she just got, I could just use a sniper and that's it? Like Aizawa said, being a one-trick pony gets you nowhere
in life.
Like, just because, like, that's, we only seen like one thing. The airwalk, we won't even count airwalk because that's something else she just got. Like, we only see like some precision accuracy. I'm pretty sure there's more to her than that. Like, there's a couple ways she can fucking get out. Like, even she gets slammed down or thrown through. There's a couple ways she can split second difference. Like Aniki said, even like he slams her down to the ground, she could still be very much awake, and then be like Chizaki. Then the whole game changed. She throw a grenade in that nigga face, and then I'm gonna be like, oh, okay, that's what I'm saying. She's not helpless, but she could take a punch or get slammed through, which she's most likely about to get through.
Not to mention, I doubt that Deku is just gonna straight up like throw like a nasty right hook at her at like 45%. Especially when he has no proof that she could actually take that type of like superhuman power.
Yeah, he gonna most likely try to subdue her, and like
he'll probably lower his strength back severely. Yeah, like we all know where we're coming at with this.
Well, that's why I don't think it's like, I don't think she has to do anything physically to outmaneuver him here. Where literally the reason should be because of Deku's own mercy that he loses. It should not be this person who's been sitting in prison for 4 or 5 years managed to out hand-to-hand combat specialist. Because that's not pragmatic. Like,
she shouldn't be able to actually beat Deku in a hand-to-hand, but she's not completely helpless. Like, all she needs one thing, one trick, 1 second, and then that's back to the differentiation. Like, there's a move in Reborn that Reborn used when he was older, that he shot. He's an expert hitman, like top of the line, right? One of the strongest niggas, basically the strongest nigga in the verse. When he was fighting somebody, he put his hands down, and then that nigga shot into the ground. It was like, why the fuck you wasting bullets? Like, you know all that cracked up to be. But he could control his bullets. So what he did was when he shot into the ground, he was like, he let that nigga get cocky. And then when he headbutted, nigga started folding him. And then he used the bullets to come back up and shoot that nigga twice through his chest. And it was like, oh, this nigga actually planned ahead. He was like, he just let you believe that you had the fucking advantage because he wanted to play you. That's the point being like.
So you telling me he was built different? All right.
Yeah, I don't know. That's definition of built different. We're born definition of built different. But I'm just saying, don't think like, all right, it's over. Deku got it. He up close. The match is done. When the fuck does that ever just go like that? Like, unless he had her face down, knock the fuck out. The fight is not over.
All right, so now, is it okay if I discuss some of my findings?
You got to go ahead.
All right. So in Friday scans, right? I had noticed something pretty like interesting, right? So one of the panels, right? It shows an overhead view of how much smoke is covering the city, and we actually get two views of this, which I found really interesting. And I was like, okay, what's going on here? My primary question was like, how much smoke did the area cover? So the first thing I had to do, I had to find the area. I used the page 15 where he's setting up the decoys, and I had noticed that one of the frames, one of the buildings, was a square, and the square can cover the area the smoke spreads through. So I put a square around the buildings, right? And then I used the reference image of the one skyscraper, and I essentially plotted a grid. And I won't go through my entire methodology, but I found some very interesting things. The overall area is around 1.4 kilometers, which is actually pretty consistent with how far Nagant was, because we see the smoke spread past her.
And he moved towards her, so yeah.
Yeah. And
so,
then
the one thing I'm a little worried about with these calcs is that this is a fisheye angle.
Yeah.
So it's like slightly rounds and alters the curvature of basically everything we're looking at.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have to correct for some things, but at least for a simple calculation here, 1.4 kilometers isn't a kilometer squared isn't the worst.
Yeah.
Estimate, which actually matches pretty well with just the distances between him and Nagant originally.
What I like about it though is that it also, if you think back to when Black Whip first manifested, it looked like, when you look at as like Deku's like pulling around corners, it was looking to be like as long as like some of the buildings and stuff like that. Yeah. So to a certain degree, this is like that same like max length Black Whip being utilized in 3 different directions here. So like if you look where you were talking, you got the boof, boof, boof. You could argue that Deku was about where she's floating above, like on the fisheye angle, when he like shot those 3 out, and that's when he jumped up through the building. So like you have the whips being spread out as he's moving, and then he like goes from there, because you can see that the whip is attached to every single one of the other ones. So she shoots through the cape, plus the book like shoots near the book bag, near the mask, near whatever the other thing was, which I think was just another Black Whip tendril. And so, and once he's close enough, he pops up through the helicopter building, which you can see like was to her right. So that final boof, you could argue that he like threw those 2 out first and then was like already there, or he moved over here while keeping those based there and then threw it out so that all three would pop up around the same time while he jumped up the build.
Yeah, that's also what made, at least just from a mathematics perspective, that's what made the helipad building so great as a reference point, because it matched perfectly with how I measured the area of the overall just smoke in terms of where the building's covered in and stuff.
So that's an interesting question. Yeah, that's at least, I want to say that's at least 30 stories. So yeah, I think he well, I want to say it's around 30 stories, but especially, well, let's see.
I mean, if he scaled 30 stories in like 5 seconds and then jumped here, that's absolutely insane.
I'm trying to figure out what the average height of a skyscraper with a helipad would even be. Yeah, I'm not finding the average. Let's see.
A helipad base for dimensions for length and width is 40 by 40.
Yeah, that's just like the size of the helipad, though.
Yeah.
You need at least an 82 by 82 feet safety zone. What I was looking for is to see if like the building it's placed upon has any height requirements. Like, okay, there are requirements. You already know that if a structure is above 200 feet, it has to be lighted with red obstruction. So there's that at least. But so
wait, what was the requirements?
If it's at least 200 feet, it has to be lighted with red obstruction. Granted, these are U.S. Helipad laws, so that doesn't completely help us.
The trend for towers in general is taller, with the average skyscraper height reaching 247 meters, up from the 2017 average of 244 meters.
All right, well, from that perspective, every 27.43 meters is a story, or 10 stories. So let's see. So what did you say the average 244?
247.
247?
Yeah. At least in 2019. Because buildings routinely get taller and taller for some reason.
A combination of spatial and population density.
Yeah.
Like one of the things that you'll notice when you go into areas like Chicago and even in some of the Milwaukee area is like you'll see restaurants, and then on top of the restaurants are different apartments, and then or like another off. There's like an office on top of the restaurant, and then on top of that office is like some people's apartments. Yeah, it's wild.
All right, I'm gonna go eat now. I'm hungry.
All right.
So I'll see you in like 5.
All right. Oh, yeah, no, that would be a lot of stories actually. Tons of stories. All right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If you count the windows, she's at least gonna 5 stories. So we know that she's pretty high up and he jumped pretty damn high. Crazy how people said the other courts haven't had much fanfare, but ignore the float has a connection to a character we know. Blackwood was the first, so of course they won't. Fanjin looks like a crazy momentary power boost. Well, I'm pretty sure he wanted to the building through the ground floor for a helipad, though minimum height ice, and people are just wanted to the books don't have it. So I think it's weird that people wanted the quirks to be like super broken, while simultaneously everybody was worried that, well, blah blah blah, power scaling, power clipping, da 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 da. Thank you, Nafisa. All the fears that people had about power scaling got kind of like smashed with a hammer when we started finding out what these quirks were. And while yes, it's sure you can say that, well, Deku's still going to be stronger than everybody, but that like he got a power that could create storms with his fist.
Hold on, what's the conversation?
So people were because people were like, are mad that the quirks aren't like as big of a deal as they thought, but people wanted like, if you're saying the quirk reveal should be a big deal, if the story directly tells us, hey, these quirks aren't going to be super powerful, then why are you expecting these super crazy powerful moments? Like the fact that Deku's trying something completely untested with the Fajin is indicative of the fact that he doesn't actually know how to use this power. So he's basically fighting a former pro hero who is somebody who was considered one of Hawk's senior colleagues. So we're one of the like veteran assassins. What bigger matchup can you actually get for him in this scenario besides like waiting until he fights like Shigaraki or All for One? Like against a top tier assassin with like within the world? I'm confused.
I don't even know what people talk about. Fucking power for like if anything, power is like power scaling and how it really equates or matters when it comes to Deku. Like it don't matter. You not see the other niggas inside this verse on the villain side, like high ends and fucking Shigaraki. Like it don't matter. You can still you have a powerful character and utilize a bunch of different things. Like utilize the cast and stuff like that.
Okay, that is one of the things that's kind of funny. The idea of the smoke quirk having a massive reveal seems kind of ridiculous. Like, well, I can make a smoke screen. Okay, but what else though? Can you use it for like offense? Can you do like what do you do with it? And it's like, oh well, I just make a smoke screen. Like
niggas was trying to call that shit. Oh, this one, this reveal was so lazy, nigga. Shut the fuck up, like.
And what's crazy to me is that the entire story, we've been told repeatedly, yo, these quirks aren't a big deal. Like why? My thoughts on the latest chapter of JJK are it solidifies that Mei Mei is in fact a creep. That's how I feel about what we saw in JJK.
That shit was gas. Without spoiling, that's all I can say. That shit was gas, boy.
Like that's all I'm gonna say about that one.
Yeah, and we're gonna get back to this shit.
But yeah.
Getting back to this, like shit, I even lost my train of thought. There you go. Thank you.
All these people criticize Deku for thinking all quirks are special, but then go on and do what he does, thinking every quirk needs to be special. Well, that's kind of the irony too, because people will be like, "Oh, the Deku's leg meme, da 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 da," like Deku. But then, when the smoke screen reveal came out, oh, like why wasn't that reveal more dramatic? It should have been extra special. Danger sense. Oh, that should have been extra special. Oh, that should have been extra special. Like, how can the story directly tell you when these quirks are being discussed? When they were talking about the quirks that Deku was gonna get, they straight up said, Bakugo was like, "Hey, yo, these quirks cheap."
Yeah, exactly.
And then Deku was like, "No, they're great." And he was like, "No, you only think that because you don't have a quirk."
Exactly. Bad walk-ins. Thank you.
Hey,
but no, Brandon De La Cruz. That's the point too. We don't need to have power scale. Remember, not everyone in the verse has OP power, and they don't and don't need to be showcased and can happen in different ways. Nigga, what the fuck were they gonna do against Makia when he pulled out? The only reason that Makia got stopped is because Momo's used that goddamn sedative. And it took a bunch of different people just to get in that nigga fucking Makia's mouth. That had nothing. That didn't have shit to do with like that was about basically like quirk matches. That had to consist of heart, brains, and a giant plant. A bunch of different members like fucking like Kirishima making the ace ass movie he did. It's like, bro, that required a lot because Genius, the OD strong, old powerful ass nigga that y'all like to gas up over power scaling. Makia busted out of his shit. So had they not had the sedative, that you little whole power matters over everything shit, that discussion would have been done. Like
also, I want to talk about this real quick. Deku's basic quirk reveals don't matter as much as whether or not he can do quirk combos in the future. So, and what I mean by that is like, let's say Deku puts out like a genuinely like black smoke, like the smoke just looks black. And then it turns out he can manipulate it because he's combining the principles of Black with the smoke. Like he's literally fusing the two. That would be a big deal. That's something that I would like some build up to. But as long as we keep getting told that the multiple quirks we get are going to be average, then I'm not going to expect us to get like these crazy big reveals. Like, also, I still don't understand how no one's getting that this is the multiple quirks training arc they've been complaining about for the last 2 years. That's the other thing, is that people wanted these super dramatic, but the thing is that the context of My Hero Academia is that they have set up a world where people are generally safe. In turn, it would have made 0 sense for Deku to just be in these streets, getting all these traumatic experiences left, right, and center. That's why it's a big deal that he and his class go through what they go through. If Deku was able to just like run around and like do all this stuff and get into all these scenarios that we would like that would create like interesting conflict and stuff like that, it would mean that all the world building was garbage. Like, think about that for a second. If I tell you, oh yeah, All Might is a symbol of peace, and there's a abundance of heroes, and you live in a world where people are largely safe, and one of your villain's messages is like, y'all think y'all so safe, when in reality, at any moment, at any time, somebody can pop off. Like when one of your villains sits down the main character and tells him this, then like why would you expect Deku to have been in a world where like all these like moments would be extra hype until now? We needed things to completely fall apart to justify. This isn't like a lot of stories where they're like, oh yeah, the adults are competent, but somehow the kids are way better in every single way, solve everything and never like need any real help. Nah. Horikoshi knows that's dumb. He knows that's bad writing, so he doesn't do it. It's that simple.
They don't realize that shit though. These niggas don't know what bad right. Apparently, all y'all niggas saying Deku can't lose because if he loses, the story is over. Obviously, what you telling me is that you literally have everything you ever read, watch, or read is just basically running the mill from weak ass writers. That's what you just told me, basically. That you said this can't happen because XYZ is an MC. Only thing that you can really say can't happen is the nigga can't die. Anything else is fair game within the story. Only limits they be putting on the shit is the ones that y'all put. I don't give a fuck what y'all be talking about. The only limits that really be in the series is the shit that y'all put. When y'all niggas talking about, oh, Deku can't leave UA. He can't do this. He can't do that. Then he fucking do what he said. Only niggas that's holding the series back is y'all niggas. And Horikoshi ain't listening to y'all niggas. He like I list the rule of 10. While y'all niggas worried about what happens at 314, that nigga Horikoshi are on 320, 340. I promise you. He's drawing these chapters weekly. The writing and planning is fucking 20 weeks ahead of you niggas. That's why you'll never catch up. You'll always be behind. You can fight, you can try. You will always be behind Horikoshi. You won't see that shit until he lets you see it. And there'll be pieces in the fucking play that you won't even see until it's already too fucking late. And you just trying to play catch up. Y'all niggas playing checkers. He playing 10D chess. So stop trying to check him. You'll never catch this nigga. Just like how y'all niggas wanted to overhype and get disappointed. Like, oh, it's just Horikoshi baiting us with the second and third user and making it up, thinking it's Bako. He didn't make y'all think that dumbass shit. Y'all believe that stupid ass shit. There was no setup for that, and it wouldn't make sense anyway. It just was. They simply didn't fuck with that nigga. Y'all be overhyping shit to the maximum, and then you want to get disappointed. And Sayers tried to make that argument before, like, well, Aniki was like, well, it's kind of like set up that he thinks you understand the story enough. But there's certain points where y'all overhype stuff, and Horikoshi has something else in mind for that. And it's not as big and drawn out as y'all think it may be. That's the problem.
There is a certain level of, like, I always say there's a certain, I don't blame people for in the beginning being like, this is going to be a conventional shonen story.
Like, that's fine in the beginning.
Especially in the beginning. Cool. Take that. Enjoy it. Feel that way. Because, like, I wasn't that impressed by season 1. I was like, this is going to be cool. I'll keep watching it. I don't know if, and then it was like season 2. Like, what's funny is that, like, I decided to read the manga. Season 2, like, the content of season 2, I always think it's funny that people say, like, season 2 is the best season. Or some people like, oh, because I'm like, yeah, it had, like, cool animation. But if I'm honest, sports festival, final exams arc, like, season 2 isn't that crazy to me as far as, like, the actual story goes. It's when, like, things started going, oh, okay, we can like touch on some topics. We can touch on them. We'll flirt with a little darkness with the domestic abuse. But it was like, oh, season 3 is like, for me, season 3 is when people's minds about My Hero should have really started changing. And that's like once you got to Kamino and, like, Deku doesn't fight all for one, Bakugo doesn't turn on the, like when we had that opportunity for Deku to get, like, a cheap, surprise, 100% smash all for one, I got you. Like, when we had that opportunity and Horikoshi was like, nah. When we had the chance for Bakugo to turn evil because both he and Shigaraki have the power to destroy anything they touch with their hands, and Bakugo was like, nah, I'm trying to save the day. You should have been like, nah.
And you know what's funny about that Bakugo shit? So Shuichi put out a fucking one of the older interviews. He was like, he said, I heard people want a Bakugo to change to a villain, and then they thought he was, and then they told me he should, and then Horikoshi said, I wasn't gonna do it anyway, but I definitely decided not to do that shit when y'all niggas told me to do that shit. Like, that nigga followed by his own rules. Yeah, Monji is the first editor to Overhaul, kind of had him on tight ropes, like, some tight kind of leashes, but that's just his first real long running series. But when he had the reins taken off, that shit was a wrap after that. That nigga creative freedom just blossomed after that. I watched season 1 and I was sold from season 1 from start to finish. After that, immediately started the manga. When I got to Kamino, and the moment that Kirishima took Bakugo hand instead of fucking Deku, and this was another series, you know what series that y'all niggas can't let go of, and like he didn't just exclude all relationships and all the moving pieces just because the plot, just because Deku needs just because Bakugo needs to be saved, so it's Deku, and then I just ignore how Bakugo actually felt and probably wouldn't have taken that nigga Deku hand regardless. They had Kirishima do it because he said, Kirishima, you built this relationship up with him from the back end, like from the back end up until now. It has to be you, not me. And he had to bite that bullet and take that shot. I was like, okay, yeah, this shit 10 out of 10 is different. Ever since Camino, I said, okay, we moving different. I ain't got to worry about nothing. Ever since then, that nigga been showing how different he is at every turn, bro. Like, he just showed me. Y'all niggas don't get it. I don't know how. You can't really understand it. But I'm gonna tell you this. A nigga can't lose because he's the MC, right? Or he loses over. Then Luffy just get his ass beat for the third time. Didn't a nigga just get a power up and get fucking folded off that fucking rooftop? Last chapter? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not caught up, but I just seen a panel flying around a Luffy getting fucking smacked the fuck up and knocked out.
Hey, hold up, real quick. This is off topic, but I gotta say this. And this people are gonna be shook. The Black Clover chapter this week, gas. Keep going.
Where's Florian? Where's Florian?
Hold on. Wait a minute. No. Wait. Whoa.
Where's Florian? Yo.
Gas? You saying that's the gas pack?
Bro, no. Like, this week's Black Clover chapter was actually a fucking gas pack. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Smoke that boy. Love to see it.
What's good, everybody?
Let's go. Walking.
Oh, my boy. Walking.
go. God, what a chapter.
Wait, Watkins, back me up. You read Black Clover this week. It was actually good, right?
Actually, I need to read it. I legitimately just finished my MHA review, so
okay.
I'll have to read it. God damn that MHA chapter. Holy shit. Horikoshi this past year has been a god with the pen. Let me just tell you that right now. That's paneling from just the past couple chapters. God tier. That's all I gotta say.
So, okay, yeah, let's get into that real quick because
loved it.
Well, one, like East was talking about, like getting the sky views and like how we got the close up of her face and she was like scanning, like getting to see like how her zoom actually works, which she actually has really good zoom if you think about like the panel, because like when you see her standing up, which also good censorship on Horikoshi, putting the gun right in the middle. No excuses for an upskirt shot there.
Damn you.
Wow. And then so like, but like you can see like she's zoomed in pretty far. Like she goes from because like the building she's looking at is one all the way on like the further side towards the end of the smoke. Like she's going like on one of the furthest angles, and it looks pretty damn close. Like as far as like when you realize how far away she actually is in comparison to what she's looking at, and that scaling kind of stays the same as far as like the architectural scaling, which that's a nice breath of pace changer.
The scaling being so consistent really helped.
Yeah.
With my calculations.
Yep. Oh, I'm glad somebody else was like, and joint training. I actually like joint training more than sports festival. Woo!
Say here. I don't give a fuck. We got a problem with that. Same here. I got way more flex from everybody.
I got 5 on it.
Also, Watkins, how you feeling about Deku's brain here? Like just his overall approach to this combat scenario, because I figured the smoke would be important.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising from Deku, but I think some guys were talking about it the other day. He needs to realize not to be so like there needs to be some sort of consequence to his recklessness right now.
Yeah, I've been consistently like advocating for that.
Yeah.
Because like as far as I'm concerned, you know how much I'm a big guy on themes, right?
Yeah.
And one of the bigger themes of his character arc is differentiating himself from All Might. Now, one of the ways he's doing that right now, you know, he's being much more tactical. You know, he hasn't been using unnecessary amounts of force in his newer fights. You know, like he's been very intelligent in this Nagant fight with how he approaches someone with a massive range advantage, which is excellent. But at least emotionally, he's still repeating the same stuff All Might did, which is you know, he's going in alone. He thinks he has to do this by himself, and I don't think, and eventually that has to be addressed. Otherwise, you know, it kind of creates contradictory messaging in the theming, because it's like you have to different. Oh, you know, it's wrong to do it all by yourself. You know, there's so many problems to that, but when the story is showing you how effective it is, you know, it weakens the strength of that message.
Yeah.
And I think in order for that message to really solidify and really deepen his character, he needs to have an immense consequence for his recklessness, for the fact he thinks he has to do this alone. Like, I don't know, the way he was talking, like the vestiges, to me at least, bordered on arrogance. It's like, oh wait, I have to use this quirk with a significant recoil. I'll just do it on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's expecting to win the fight without consequences.
Well, to be fair to my boy, I don't think we know that for sure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
no, I'm not saying he's going to. I'm saying that
it's the mindset that he's going into with it. Like,
yes,
yeah,
like like using a quirk with recoil like that on when you've never even trained it in a fight that's involving, some very dire stakes.
I'm not gonna
If
lie
he
though.
loses,
So
come on.
so on one hand, like I agree that like there could and like slash should be a penalty for his recklessness, though I don't think that this is completely an example of him being reckless, just because in theory, um, he was supposed to have the big three backing him up plus All Might.
Yeah.
So like I can't. I do think though that Deku should have made it a point to stay like on some level in contact with UA though, because I don't where specifically with like people like Baku, people like Ochako, people like Shoto, just to make sure that there was like an understanding, and then that way he could potentially have reinforcements if necessary, because without incriminating like the major heroes as much.
Right.
But it seems like he's been traveling like city to city almost, like just kind of traveling the country, waiting. And we don't know the full scope of Fajin's recoil yet. But one of the things that I just saw Charlie point out on Twitter, which is funny because we're having this like sports festival discussion, is that that he basically copied Ochako's move from the sports festival with the smoke, where like so it's like the same strategy, except instead of it being get a bunch of stuff in the ground up in the air so you can touch her, it's create a bunch of distractions on the ground so that I can get close and touch her. Thinking about that now, though, we did also just get the X catapult in the anime. So, I mean, this would be a good time for Deku to actually show a grappling type move that we haven't seen from necessarily All Might, and also give us a reference to Bakugo within the process, like just showing that while he might be doing some of this alone and might be overly focused on his path as the successor of One for All, he hasn't completely forgotten his friends, and then that'll like help us kind of like get him back into working with them as the story progresses.
Yeah, and then I think I already know people are probably complaining out there that he just unlocked the third quirk. Here's the thing: we were told a few chapters ago things are ramping up. Third quirk out. And plus, I actually really fuck with this quirk. This Fajin quirk.
Yeah, because he on his Neji or Bruce Lee gimmick right now, so niggas really fucking with this shit.
Yeah, I love this shit. Yeah. Overall, but what I want to say with like the artwork from this chapter is like it's clicked for me the past like year or so, but just the past few chapters, like what was it? Last chapter, we had that curve shot panel where it was like the shot was curving around all those buildings and hitting Deku. And then in this chapter with obviously, All Might's little moment, which also I don't know if anybody mentioned this or not, kind of mimicking Stains from when he like was beaten down and basically yelling, giving his speech, and had everybody frozen like that. So All Might's on his Stain gimmick right now, but like Horikoshi this past year has been so good at showing motion in pictures, like still pictures and all that. So like Deku zooming past and Lady Nagant doing the three fires onto those objects, like just seeing the movement right there has been amazing. And like Horikoshi, he keeps getting better and better at it. So I wanted to point that out because I've been noticing it a lot, especially in these past couple chapters, and especially after his comment about watching, what was that movie, Wanted?
Yes, with Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, with the curved bullet and all that. Like, it's obvious that he's been doing more research and trying new things, and I don't know. I love it a lot.
I just liked how how complex some of these sequences are. Like, for example, you have Deku racing through the buildings, creates a very nice line of motion. What helps with the eyes that we see in the later panel, we see Deku zooming across to the right, which also kind of confirms the direction he's moving at. We then see, like the schematics of the battle, and then we see Danger Sense cut into the panel, and then it obstructs the bullet, and then Deku kicks it, only for while it's still spinning for another bullet to hit his stomach.
Yeah. And also, since you mentioned Danger Sense, I like how we're having a limit with Danger Sense too, coming up.
I mean, it can tell you what's coming, but you still gotta dodge it.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that if you remember, I was like, running on the ground isn't going to be a viable approach, so he's going to have to stay airborne because like the slickness on the ground is going to increase the odds. So, like we talked about with All for One being like, oh yeah, a rainy day will be best because like you can't just run on the ground. And now you see he's ping pong and paddleballing through buildings. Yeah. Up top though, like having to stay in the air largely, and then it's only once he like does the smoke screen trick that he's actually willing to land on the ground. One of the other things though,
one thing. Okay, sorry.
That it's like a small detail, but like as she's making the 3 shots, when she's like hiding the smoke, you actually can see Deku flying up the building from the inside. Like if you zoom in a bit, you can actually see that there's impact zones on several floors to show him like blasting up through the building quickly. So
okay,
yeah.
Yeah. All right, neat.
So it's that dedication to like detail. So, and we're maintaining like the fisheye angles to a certain degree, even like when he gets up there. So that's part of why like I can see her, like she needs to do something to try to fight back. But I also think that if Deku can actually grab somebody, there's zero reason he should lose in this scenario. Like,
yeah,
it would be pretty, like it's gonna like. He should lose because of like psychological stuff, but like as far as that like physical hand-to-hand thing, like nah. And I used to type comments about Spider-Man said, love how this and the muscular fight uses escape to its full advantage, jumping through buildings, wall running, etc. Where he stays leveling up. And I don't think that it's that Horikoshi didn't have these things in mind when he was like writing earlier fights. Like the sheer fact that All Might and All for One's positioning within like combat when he was blowing away the extra buildings. He's like, you have to overexert yourself to make sure that I don't kill other people. So, but the problem is that when you're a pie plate maker, you can just throw out a big AoE. The same thing kind of applies to like Dabi, where some of the more powerful quirks are a little more simple to display. And so I think it's more over once you got to this point in the story where we're having fights that come down to more actual hand-to-hand choreography, less other quirks, we're finally getting the emphasis on it. And I know people who are like, oh, like Horikoshi's going to give him extra quirks because he can't do the hand-to-hand combat. And it turns out he's getting extra quirks just so that we can have a more stylized, like thoughtful approach. So he can basically like move in and have like the classic grappling hooks and all the other stuff so he can get close to people and actually fight them.
I mean, I find it interesting that like one of the complaints was like the lack of choreography. But if we looked at like what Deku's inspired by, Spider-Man typically has really good choreography in his comics because again of the constant motion of his swinging, etc. So the idea that he was just adding all this stuff just so he could keep his simplistic fights made no really real sense to me, and this battle just confirmed it.
Yeah.
Also, I want to point out one detail. My boy is finally kicking with proper form, really twisting his hips there. If he was on land, I would criticize the lack of balance on his lead foot, but he's in the air, so that doesn't matter. Altogether, I'm really proud.
You're right.
Mm-hmm. And also, they're in the air.
Shit.
Yeah. They're in the air, and you know, Nagant was moving in the air with airwalk. So, just want to throw that out there.
And that's the other thing is that she's using the bullets for extra like
blaster.
Flight,
yes,
but you can tell that when you look, it says temp, as in like she's stepping. So she's still literally stepping on the air and jumping off. So she's basically doing the same thing Bakugo does, where he does like an augmented jump plus blast, and doing that but like mid-air.
I like how she's definitely using the recoil of. I like how she uses like the weightlessness and the recoil, the weightlessness of airwalk and the recoil of her rifle to essentially allow her to move really quickly to different positions.
All right, now I got 2 more topics. I've already covered the physical strength of the characters, Dragon Lady, what Fajin actually does. Now we're gonna talk about how people assume that because somebody was trying to say like, oh, just be a clock convenience that all of a sudden if airwalk is just fine and she just uses it with no drawback. First of all,
it's okay.
First of all, when we looking at, you want to look at off one uses the quirk breaking the body. That's literally a stockpiling quirk within your body, helping you discharge force of insane amount of like physical force and power stockpiled onto your thing. Uchiko already said, yeah, our bodies advance every generation. It's just that, but there will come to a point where the body won't be able to match the software that's being downloaded, which software being the quirks. Now, she could live a long viable life, like she. There's no like people act like she has the same quirk as all one for all. Like that shit is fucking supercharged and stockpiling. Like there may be a drawback, there may be an effect, but if it's not, let's not like act like, oh, she just could just do it because she could just do it. No, her body is even more like advanced than fucking Shinomori's was, and it's not the same quirk. Airwalk wouldn't have the same strain as fucking One for All. You gonna tell me Airwalk has the same strain on One for All?
Hold on, that's not even the big. Hold on. That's not even the biggest issue with that. The big issue with that is that it always took a while before the symptoms can start showing anyway. Like the jailbreak happened within the last month. The user who had the fourth user, it took 18 years. Not okay. Like he said, it took until like the last couple of years. So like at minimum, we're talking over a decade before any signs of the strain popping up. Like, so yeah, it might shorten her lifespan and probably will, but you guys got to realize, like, One for All, also, like, if we think about what One for All actually was, at the time that the fourth user had it and it burned him out in 18 years, it had the quirk that allows one to pass on quirks, the stockpile energy quirk, Fajin, whatever the second user's quirk is, and then it was like getting stacked onto, so like the equivalent of 5 quirks of information.
And plus, he was training that motherfucker, bringing out his full potential. So like, he was overexerted himself. He was overworking out.
So yeah, you got 5 quirks worth of information compared to just 2. So while I do still think she's going to take a hit, I don't think Airwalk is a complicated enough quirk that it, like, 1 needs to have the same burden as One for All. 2, it's definitely not so bad that it needs to be tearing her apart within like a month of getting it.
Yeah.
Like, could we go that route? Sure. I just don't think that that's the point. And moreover, it's that, like, now you know that when All for One gives these deposits to people, he doesn't even tell them the risk that comes attached to it.
Because they won't even take that shit.
You know, he'll probably take it back. And, like, because, like, the other question is does your lifespan stay shortened if you still have it? And I, like, think that it does because it's like an infectious disease, so it wears down your immune system. But that's a whole other topic entirely.
Like my biggest question is, like, I think it's frankly ridiculous to assume they share the same stress load as like even 3rd generation One for All, let alone 4th with a Shinomori. And just with like the sheer amount of stuff like stockpiled, we know that even in the 1st generation with quirks that contained virtually like no power, a frail guy in Yoichi was able to use them. He was able to hold 2 quirks even when he was sick and frail and old. I mean, actually, no, just like sick and frail. So the idea that an elite like sniper who is in great like physical condition can't hold airwalk, which is pretty primitive, to where I think you could argue it's probably a quirk from earlier generations, and she should already be like going through like all these changes and like her cells dying like already, I think is pretty unreasonable.
Yeah, like it's weird to think that people take certain like reasonable expectations within the story and try to make them larger than life. But also, I just kind of want to point out that she does like. I'm kind of curious as to, regardless of whether like how this fight goes, I don't think it has to come to a conclusion, a clean conclusion. I don't think it will. I think it's better off if we do get the Overhaul conflict, because she took Overhaul as an investment, so we need a payoff for that plot.
I mean, personally, I think there's a little more going on with her in Overhaul, because like I think there's definitely like an element of pity there, where she's seeing this guy and he's just so like down atrocious. They're like, ah man, hey, maybe I should like. I definitely think she has her own plans, but I do think there's also that element of pity, because as I noted last time, he got new pants.
Yeah. So
Like he went from like those prison pants to black pants, and who could have got him those black pants?
So yeah, like she definitely at least clothed him and is probably keeping him fed. So we like something needs to come out of like that whole discussion. So it's just kind of like an inevitability to me that we will.
Not to mention, like the biggest thing is like she also promised him that they're gonna see the boss.
Yeah, which was an interesting promise to make, because it's like you don't even know who that is.
Yeah.
Well, like the boss might be like some evil type of guy.
Don't matter who it is. The boss is the boss. Chisaki got one goal. Whatever she got planned for that nigga, she got planned for him. But all he do keep saying is the boss. Same way, All For One was like, all right, hey, take this obstacle out the way, and I got you. It's just a common goal. Like she gonna use that nigga, so she don't really care about this nigga spouting. Boss. Plus, he's more useful like that anyway. I guess you could say, for whatever plan she has.
I mean, I don't know any plans that would need a guy to be like mentally crippled.
And you know what? But guess who does?
Who?
Horikoshi.
Gotcha, bitch. And you know what? You know what else I like to say? Once again, it's time to pray my motherfucking goat. Once again, with the greatest parallels of all time. 213, Deku learns he's getting six quirk abilities. 313, Deku uses all his abilities against another opponent. That nigga is ahead of the game, boy.
I mean,
I don't know how
we didn't get to see
hold on. Because I also want to point out though that let's add it up further. Joint training arc is currently going on, and we got the Gen 5 reveal plus the Smoke reveal, and this is around the same time that we got the arcs. So like once anime onlys get to this point, Horikoshi low-key pranking these niggas. He basically saying read the manga, because what's gonna happen is that they're gonna watch these shows. They're gonna be like, oh snap, Deku has multiple quirks. I want to know more about that. And then they're gonna go online and it's like, oh no, I've been spoiled on 4 other quirks.
Exactly, bro. This is listen. It's so funny because I bet you niggas talking shit about Deku being too OP with all the quirks. He's just now managing that shit. That's my goal. Shit. Coincidence, my ass, nigga. That nigga whole question. Don't do coincidence, boy. That nigga, that's my motherfucking goal, boy. You see, that's what you say? What you gonna say?
So that is one of the things that like blows my mind when it comes to like My Hero, though, is that so many mangaka are allowed to be good at what they do, but then, and like Sethri isn't actually saying that, but like it's kind of wild that you're not allowed, like Horikoshi's not allowed to have a plan. Like everybody else is. Like,
AJ, Oda.
I mean, I still remember Act 2. That was 20 chapters of him sitting in a prison training hockey, and most of that was off screen, and then they did a whole prison break, but then Big Mom had amnesia. I still don't know why they even did that plot line.
because they needed a viable excuse for her to help them.
Yeah.
But back to the point at hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, only for Luffy to get bodied this
Back to
chapter.
the point
Hey,
at hand.
hey, you're spoiling for the One Piece fans who aren't caught
I mean, by
up.
body, I mean absolutely destroy. You know, he the goat, Rocky, no swag. You feel me? You know, I'm out here playing.
All that top 10 talk went downhill, but
Hey,
All that top 10 Yonko Emperor talk. Real talk. Real
Back
talk.
to what you were saying, Aniki.
yeah. Also,
But-
that Black Clover was gas.
yeah,
It
yeah.
really
See,
was.
That was gas, man. I loved it. I love that shit. I was like, oh damn, get him, get him.
That's why I was like, hold up, I need to make a special announcement.
Fight back. Fight back.
Dog, that's basically what happened. Fight back,
Yep.
nigga. Fight back, nigga. Oh, why ain't you fighting, bro? All right, cool. Pop, pop. Ah, bum ass.
That's funny.
Like, well, I'm not sure that Overhaul's quirk has to have a knowledge prerequisite, considering all it has to have to it seems is like viable material to work with. So if you think about it, like he never turns like the rock stuff into like anything other than rocks. But when he does make the kaiju monster, he splatters his ally first, covering his blood over everything, then mixes it all so that it counts as like bioorganic matter. So I think as long as like you can like infuse like biomatter with like rocks and stuff like that, then like you can make freak alchemy stuff, and you don't need to understand the like specific rules. I don't think he's got like the same restrictions as Momo, where she has to like know the molecular breakdown of everything she touches.
Yeah, because she's actually creating something.
Yeah, you know
He's just using base like almost in a sense he's almost using like time manipulation. He's going really forward and then really back to really simplify. It's like explode,
Right.
reconstruct, explode. That's not that hard. You don't have to know the.
It's a fancy to me. It's a fancier Meat Boy quirk.
Yeah, like you don't really have to fucking like do a bunch of technicalities with this. That like, yeah, you can get technical. Overhaul is kind of a good fighter, essentially. And his quirk was his quirk was overpowered, but like Momo has to create shit from scratch. He just touches. I want this to go boom. I want this to come back.
You gotta go into a book, go read some recipes, get the fat collected together, and then make it all.
Oh, also, I just want to point out that Deku kicking that bullet. I think I saw somebody say May greater than Melissa Shields. Now I know why.
Huh?
Because he kicked the bullet with the iron soul, so they didn't break.
Oof. Yeah, dude, y'all niggas petty, boy. Y'all niggas is petty, boy. Hey, shit. Hey, Daniel, you may be onto that something. You probably onto that, bro. The way this is structured right now, you probably onto something.
So what you're saying is American made isn't the best?
I mean, shit.
Oh, so more than likely, because Horikoshi almost always does this, where there's like some kind of tie-in, like beautifully into like what the series is. Like, for example, one of the things that I love pointing out was that the last chapter of, I believe, 2019 and the last chapter of 2020 both finished with Deku and Shigaraki acquiring different powers. Deku, like, it's like black lip scenes, and then for 2020, you literally have Shigaraki strapped to the table mid-surgery. So like Horikoshi loves his tie-ins, and now like, when you think about it, both of those scenes have the potential to be in the anime. So if we finish off with like Shigaraki, like the final scene of season 5 could actually be Shigaraki strapped to the table mid-surgery. Like the same way like that we had that final shot of like Stain looking over the city and stuff. We could get that for season 5, and it'd be like, wait, what? And then that's it.
One thing I find really cool, at least around this like era of the series, right? I just love seeing like all of the standardized support gear that Narat just threw into the streets. Like these thunder spears. They look so I don't even know what to say, like trash.
Trash.
Like no, like that. It looks like it looks standardized. It looks like low quality. Like remember that nail gun that looked like it could break easily?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it reminds me of. And the idea that just these like low quality, cheaply made support items are just being thrown into the streets to cause chaos is just
I wouldn't call them
weirdly realistic.
Nah, but I wouldn't call them that low quality because Endeavor had to take a little bit cover real quick. Like, all right, what's the plan here? He wasn't pressured, but he was like, all right, let me actually think of real quick and come up with a plan. Because he wasn't just like, all right, walking up, blasting all these shits. These baby, they ain't really nothing.
Oh, that's the other thing that I want to address real quick too, though, is that objectively speaking, Deku kicked a bullet that was larger than a 50 caliber round.
Isn't a 50 caliber like the size of your hand?
No, a 50 caliber isn't like that crazy. You got to think like ships only use like 30 millimeters. Like there's like some things only use like 30 millimeter bullets.
Yeah.
So like 30 millimeters is a big round. So like that's basically and like because one of the things that I talked about in my solo review is how when I say that she's actually like a helicopter, like she's got higher caliber rounds on her rifle than you can actually fire as a human. Like a human is not going to sit like people get calluses on their chest just from firing 50 calibers like repeatedly and getting good at those. She's not, and like the average range on the rifle that she's a reference to was I believe it fired like 7.98 millimeter rounds and it had about 800 meters for the range. But then she's got a 3K range on her rifle, and now she flies attack helicopter. She's got like a helicopter level like rifle round, like she's basically firing like 30 millimeter bullets or more, and like just giant slugs. So Deku is basically fighting straight up artillery fire that can take out like other planes and stuff.
I mean, they even say it's a mobile cannon.
Yeah,
literally, like
in chapters. So it's like that's like the chapter title.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay, I want to now understand. Do you guys think the PLF is like a skeptic will matter later, like backstory and doing?
Well, I'll address this because I want to address this. Let me explain to y'all. The story, chapter count wise, ain't ended no time soon. Let me key since y'all want to use all these other series. Let me reconfirm for y'all. Bleach's final arc alone, singular arc, where it's basically just like one focus, not an act, an arc, was over 200 chapters, well over 200 chapters.
Yeah.
Horikoshi did nothing but 306 chapters, a setup just to get to this point, just so we could be doing the shit we could be doing. He set himself up a little bit too fucking well, and the amount of shit that he could be doing, especially just fighting wise, just to imagine that you got random villains to all the types of prison convict escapees that's well over 10,000 to like niggas we already knew just coming back to, and then the PLF advisors come back into the fold with the high-ends. The villains are stacked. The heroes are way low. Geet and all of them are coming back. There's time and place. Like Simi said, like my homie Simi said, they're not dead. They can be reused. And that actually is a great segue for what I was going to praise Horikoshi for. This nigga finds a way to reuse, like he finds a way to use people dry. Like this nigga is literally a multi-purpose tool writing person, like incarnate. He used that shit to his like everything. He rings people's character arcs and anything he could do with those motherfuckers dry, bro. Like literally, I've not seen this. I can't remember last time I actually seen somebody squeeze every single possibility they can out of a character. Like Genius having 5 multi-purposes, the entire from going like using him in different ways that I couldn't even measure. From him going into hiding, I mean, from him getting injured to going into hiding to coming back and doing what he's doing. Like literally that 299 when niggas like it's a good chapter, but it felt kind of off. Then you think about all right, that had to set up before the Hellish Todoroki household and the Mischief of Fire Part 1 and Part 2. So then you could come back with like 303, and the Hawks like, all right, I already told y'all why I'm gonna be working Endeavor. You have my backstory. And Genius is like, yeah, I'm here too, because we already set this shit up. And then by the time you look at this chapter now, it's like, okay, well, that's because Horikoshi set that up because they were all supposed to work together going forward. It's like the way just some things are just used and reused like in multiple different ways, just honestly astonishes me. Like you take one plot line and you fucking use it for 5 different things.
So I'm gonna be honest with you, especially when we're talking about like the utilization of plots. I don't think that the story of the PLW can't be over, right? So like I see people mention that Primera clan theory. Thank you. I like that people kept held on to that. But my thing with this is that like Geten Skeptic being taken by the League of Villains effectively guarantees he has to come into play again. They now have somebody with access to like international satellites that can hack and eventually get into likely security systems of prisons and all these other areas, locations, or hack into the software, the databases that police have, the government facilities, just to find information on the different people who would have been captured, such as the lieutenants, if they had any speculations on the lieutenants. Furthermore, since we were told directly that about 112 lieutenants escaped, and specifically some of the lieutenants that escaped, do you guys know whose lieutenants escaped?
They were the niggas that were said to be stronger than your average pro hero.
Yeah. Dobbies.
Exactly. What was it? What was him and Geaton's? They were the fucking Violet, and theirs was the fucking guerrilla faction.
Right.
Meant they're built for warfare and going out there to fight.
Which is why that, like, you remember the gas mask dude was like, "Don't worry, I'll take her." That wasn't just him being like, "Oh, I have a gas mask." It was also them showing that like the gas, like he was capable of like issuing orders within the organization. Him being like, "Hey, yo, you sit this one out. I'll take control here." That's because he's the lieutenant, so he's like the highest ranking person like in that area. So then he goes in, takes the kill on Midnight, and keeps going so that his team can keep moving. As the person with the only person capable of actually taking her without like the Midnight Killer is one of Dobby's lieutenants. I think he's number 2. So we know that the Violet lieutenants got away, at least some of them. So they can reconvene with Dobby. They can, meet up with him, decide they want to keep following his orders that they do, and from there take that and snowball it into Dobby building his own faction and finally either deciding if he's going to stick by Shigaraki or finally like lead his own thing and do his own thing. And we get the Starscream and Megatron approach.
Interesting enough.
Would it be crazy if Class 2A takes revenge? They wouldn't call it revenge, but it would come up.
It would be avenging.
Yeah.
Not revenge, avenging.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Because the way I look at it is, Kirishima wouldn't straight up say, "You almost crushed Mina." But Kirishima would definitely fly at them like a bullet. LaBrava, low diff, skeptic, and hacking wars. I don't know about all that.
That nigga broadcast all over Japan. Dobby's entire fucking sketch and release thing, his expose of Endeavor, the Todoroki family drama. Like he did that shit in like less than an hour, bro. Yeah. Put a whole fucking movie together and put that shit all over Japan in less than an hour. That shit crazy.
Like from the back of a giant.
Yeah, a fucking giant kaiju. Like, give boys some respect now. Yeah, that Splee Blitz, you on to something right there. I've been talking about that. Like, Dobby might lead the UA battle. Don't forget that line when it was like, "All right, you want us to come over there and we just gonna be sitting ducks?" Like what? And Dobby already said, guess I haven't did quite enough yet just to get Endeavor down all the way.
The guys that killed Midnight are free, so the kids are probably beating the shit out of them. I don't know if I'm gonna go that far. Hey, K9, K1. I do think that if the kids get I do think the lieutenants kind of exist as people that the kids will get to fight in the future because they kind of have their build up and it'll make sense that they get kind of rewarded for some of their loyalty because Dobby doesn't care about owning a bunch of stuff, but he very clearly is willing to exploit people who do. So in turn, it makes sense for Dobby to be the one. And to lean into that more though, a lot of people look at Shigaraki and as the big villain. And that's part of why the finale for a lot of people to the war arc is so unsatisfying. But the reality is that part of the point of the story is that Dobby upstaged Shigaraki at the end. He did steal the show from him. His social decisions have had way more ramifications than the like just raw physical damage. And that was even set up for us back towards the end of the overhaul arc when Shigaraki sitting on top of the truck and he says, "Hey, the king, you just have to, and Shogi, you just have to take the king to win." And Dabi says it's a little more complicated than that, and then goes on to utilize the hero side pieces, just like in Shogi, when you like take pieces from your opponent, you're allowed to drop them on the board later on. So it was all set up for Dabi to steal Shigaraki's thunder, which is why some people have that theory about Dabi being the final villain. That I think is a stretch, but specifically Dabi is the final villain of the war arc, and that's why, like, sure, Maki is there, sure, you have all the stuff going on, but it becomes about escaping, and then All For One busting them out like he's some kind of sensei character coming through at the last moment to save his students and make sure they like live to fight another day. The twist here is that usually when a sensei pops in to save their student or like pops in to save like the MC, they die there. But the hero was like sad about it. But in the case of Shigaraki, he wanted to take defeat, or he wanted to keep fighting, but like the sensei is like gladly intervening and takes him away, and they both live, but in a situation that Shigaraki currently isn't very happy with as far as Vestige for One's actions are concerned.
And that's where this steps in the light that All For One has been overstepping his boundaries quite very much so. And Shigaraki already told him, "I won't be your stinking pawn." And he's like, no, you misunderstand it. It's literally, we've been having this conversation in the church. I'm gonna mute your ass. If I swear to God, if I hear the All For One body snatching shit, Rex don't come on streams, but I don't give a fuck. I'm about to tag nigga. It is not the same fucking person. It's said as if through a shared consciousness. If you can't read, just say the shit. Ain't no fucking speculation. It's not the same person. Stop. The All For One and the Betches are two different people. Ain't no, no. On the panel, whatever you coming out your mouth, I don't give a fuck. On the panel, it says as if. Do you know what as if mean? It didn't say we share a, not with this together. It's as if through a shared consciousness. If you had a fucking clone, you don't think your clone's gonna know what you're thinking? Especially if you All For One. When this nigga already knew back at Camino, he wasn't gonna be there forever. When he knew getting his MP quirk with EMP will fucking help. When he knew the second that shit shut down, boot it back up. The alarms were going around the whole system. He knew Shigaraki was coming. He knew what himself would do in that moment. Hello.
It's literally like those clones from Invincible.
Like they knew what the fuck. If I have a clone, the clone don't gonna know what the hell I'm thinking because it's me, nigga. Like I don't know what it's gonna take. Like that is not the same person. And I'm not trying to hit the damn body snatch theory no more because you don't have shit from the body snatch theory. It's just some bullshit headcanon. There is nothing that hints at it at all from any panels whatsoever before the war, and after the war doesn't make sense. The only thing y'all got is the heroes speculating because they don't know shit. Deku came in at the wrong time. Literally the wrong time. If he really wanted his body, why the fuck is he like, tomorrow, great. I almost forgot you hate me too. I don't hate All For One. I hate the conversation surrounding the nigga because it's the dumbest shit I've ever seen.
Body snatching, Dad for One. What else is there? All those. Especially the Dad for One thing.
That shit would have been out the air a long time ago. He would have rubbed that in all my face at Camino, damn near.
Yeah, he would have.
He would have rubbed that nigga face at Camino. Like, hey, not only my successor, yo goddamn, your fucking master's grandson, nigga, your successor, my son. That nigga came from my seed, boy.
Yeah.
Oh, you're lying. No. Like, yeah.
That's not true. That's impossible.
You know the truth. Join me.
Like, and that's the other thing with All For One. I'm like, bro, y'all just be. People want that to be the case because they want to be able to because people want to be able to be like, okay, for sure, this about MHA is the generic thing. That's how people want to do it. They want to be able to just be like, yeah, this is generic. I don't have to think about this now. It is what it is. Now, like, all right, we got the grasp. And I think that's part of the problem is that I think a lot of people are frustrated that they don't have a grasp completely on where the series is going. And so it's easier to be like, well, this shit's trash than it is to be like, all right, I've been surprised multiple times, and I don't actually know where this is going. Like they don't want to say that, because if they say that, then they have to like take back a lot of things. And I've seen people be like, "Oh, well, All for One is going to take Shigaraki's body. Y'all said I was wrong." But then they have to see those people be like, "Oh, like I like posited like 8 other theories that I was wrong about." Like that part doesn't happen. So like a lot of these people are literally just doing it in the hopes of like they need to like push this narrative so that they can like feel better about their inaccurate takes.
Yeah. All right. I used to type comments about Spider-Man.
Oh,
Super chat.
Hold up. Shinso hadn't come back for hundreds of chapters, and now Hori promised us he'll have a major role. People won't let Hori write his story. That's crazy. Exactly.
Bro, I'm trying to tell. I don't know what the fuck it is, but everybody else got cachet, bro. That nigga Gege got less chapters. He got more fucking free reign than Horikoshi. I don't know how the fuck that worked.
It's because
I don't know how the fuck that worked. Y'all niggas built different, bro. Couldn't be me.
Part of the problem is that My Hero is a hero story. Like, and people have decided they know how hero story works. So by default, they're not even willing to like look into or like think about any of these extra complex or any of these other things that could potentially be on the table. And that's like the real downside, is that to a certain degree, no, because like at least with like to a certain degree, like I agree that like people have always had like weird shit to say about mangaka, but I think that people go out of their way to like immediately throw away anything Horikoshi does. Whereas like to a certain degree, I'm like, oh, why? Like, why are you that quick? And then you also have things like how like JJ the meme one pointed out, like, you know, people will say like, oh, this wavered because like they'll say like, this is how I think it should be. This is what I think counts as society losing. This is what I think counts as it fall. And it's like, you've listened to people talk about cultures and societies falling without there being like a complete eradication of the city. Like Rome fell, but like Rome as an empire fell. Roman society fell. Rome lost its control, but Rome, the city still exists.
Like the landmass is still there.
Like there's still people who, like, I'm not gonna say like they were like descended from the very first Romans, of course, but like to a certain degree, like there's people who still live there who like, you know, can trace their roots back pretty far. There's people who still live in that area. Like the Vatican was built there. The Vatican City is still there and has 1,000-year-old treasures. But Rome did fall. So, like, did Rome not actually fall? Like the UK like was running almost everything on the like half the main places on the planet. To this day, if you like play the game of like, let me just like look at stuff in the Pacific Ocean, and you just zoom in at random points, or if you zoom in at random points in the Atlantic Ocean, every now and then you will find a small island nation somewhere that is actually a Commonwealth of Britain, and it'll have like a population of like 100 people. But a lot of people will say that Britain, while still a like power, like an established world power, we don't live in British society. Like Britain isn't controlling everything, but like they still very much so have a lot of political and like sociological power. So it kind of comes down to what it means for a society to fall, which is what ends up creating this disillusionment and this detachment from what's going on in My Hero Academia. In addition to the fact that a lot of people don't want the school manga to be about school stuff, which
I mean, altogether, like when it comes to like, one thing I've even heard, even from like, you know, like Ian, right, is the pacing of the new quirks. But at least for me, it's like with the amount of actual power there is in each individual ability, I think I think it'd be very underwhelming to build up to such a weak ability, you know?
oh yeah, no, like we were never going to get a crazy amount of build into any of the weaker abilities, and I'm okay with that. Like this.
And at least for me, I think it's pretty obvious that the recoil from using, Fajin, is going to kind of be what seals his fate for this battle. Whether he is like out of commission for a certain amount of time, or he just straight up like gets captured or whatever. I think using that ability with no experience the way he did, along with him getting shot in the stomach, is going to seal his fate. And if that happens, I don't really have any problems with that because the advantage was overly overshadowed by the risk, and it does build that idea of consequence, which I think Deku is in a very strong need of.
So I think Deku's at a point where, yeah, like, okay, so like one of the things that they mentioned, like, like I said, like it's like one of my little brothers will try to convince me Deku is a Mary Sue, and then I'll be like, okay, but he lost to this person, this person, and this person, so how is he a Mary Sue? And then it's like, well, like he's a Mary Sue, and I'm like, no, because this is the definition of a Mary Sue. He has to win all the time, and he does not do that. So what makes him a Mary Sue? And there's never a real answer there. And this is the thing that like happens with like a lot of topics when it comes to My Hero, where like I've had people like, oh, like this series is more mature, and I'm like, how? Because outside of like seeing more visual violence, is it actually more mature? Is it just like more visually violent? Because if that's the case, Happy Tree Friends is the most mature shit on the planet. Like, think about that. Like, I grew up like at the age of 10 watching Happy Tree Friends. So like when I see somebody get dismembered in a manga or an anime or whatever, I'm like, oh snap. It's one of those shows where people get dismembered. Cool.
Yeah,
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
What else you got? And I think too many people get like a little too much out of that. They're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, bro, like I promise you, you watch South Park, if you watch Happy Tree Friends, if you watch Family Guy, you should be able to admit that like violence doesn't equal darkness or maturity for real.
Like, but it does.
Don't you know that blood equals mature writing? It's like a soft seinen.
Oh
I know seinen and shonen are really just demographics aimed at an age group, and shonen ain't even aimed at kids below 13 or more. That's actually their lowest ranking percentile as recorded in 2019. But because it's a shonen, it could be written for kids, although the lowest percentile is for kids under 13. I did no research, but I'm still gonna say that shit because it's shonen. You have to write like this. I know it's a demographic. It's not a demographic. It's a curriculum in a fucking state. Your mind. You have to write that. You can't be anything above greatness. It's different or revolutionary if you in the shonen. You stuck at the bottom. Stupid ass niggas.
And Nadir, the only reason Float got and then Nadir says the only reason Float got any sort of hype was because it was connected to Nana, and we only had one panel with All Might telling us that's it.
Listen, if the quirks are gonna be like this mid, I don't mind having no build up.
Yeah.
Bro, if you wanted to see Deku, if you wanted to build up the Deku blowing smoke out his ass, you a fucking joke.
Because
I could do that shit. Give me a cigarette.
Yeah. Because you know what one of the things. You know one of the things that this also highlighted though was
what?
That each one of the other things that is quietly established by having each of the One for All users have these quirks is that what made them a hero was more themselves than their quirks.
Yep.
Because yeah, getting One for All like made them stronger, but like the nigga with smoke, like he wasn't folding people on the daily. You know that.
Especially on off one era.
Banjo's quirk might have had him folding some people. I'm not gonna lie. Like Black Whip
he was
is
in the
still
streets. Like
Black Whip is one of the better quirks.
Yeah.
Same with like if Junfa ends up doing what I think it does, or if Fajin does what I think it'll do, it'll end up being one of the better ones he gets out of the situation. But the thing about it is that for a technique like Fajin, which just allows him to do effectively more than likely like key attacks, like you could do like in like I mentioned Tenjo Tenge, where you like punch somebody and then like the blow like lands inside them, or you get like the twin impact effect like Yuji does when he's got like the punches into the like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If we get that, then cool. But like all of those things are things that are only going to be like that useful because of Deku's training and because of all the like extra work he puts in.
Like the only reason like I would ever like agree to like needing stuff to be properly built up if they were extremely strong and had like the ability to produce multiple super moves. Like I'm talking like the equivalent. There's like 6 Bakugo like explosions.
Right, like those are that would
Like if he had that stuff, number one, that'd break the series entirely, and number two, like at that point, like you need to build this stuff up for like over dozens of chapters. But if we're literally getting stuff that can be replaced with actual tools, you could get at like a hardware store, like a rope or a flare or a radio. I mean, the jetpack is actually pretty cool. We've made like water versions of them that are powered by pressurized water, but not the typical version of it. Ignoring the jetpack, right? Most of the stuff is just tools you can buy for yourself. You could go to like a store, like a camp store, and get a flare.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're like $50 or something.
Like N didn't say, "Hey, bro, this shit you doing too much. It's not that special. It's just a tool."
Right, like he was like he's like, and that's the thing that like blows my mind is that a lot of the people who like get worried about this stuff like to cherry pick different phrases out of the series, but then when you have like characters being like, "Hey, just so you know, this quirk ain't shit," they be like, so anyway, it was all broken and stuff, and like, yeah, it was crazy.
Oh, you know what?
Oh, shit.
It's time to get real petty, real talk.
Ooh,
Oh.
it's real talk.
I remember ever since motherfucking the war when Dangerson popped off, I told you goofy ass niggas way back when, just
He
because
told you
that shit don't mean you can dodge it. Man, Deku got danger sense. Ain't nobody fuck with that nigga. Oh, he dodging Muscle. Yeah, I mean, Muscle only at 50%, but we gonna act like he ain't 50%. And that what Shindo did don't matter. He dodging Muscle. Hey man, he got danger sense. Can't nobody touch him. Hey, if Bach, no matter what Bach go do, he can't touch him. Good danger sense. I'm sorry, I can't hear you now. What? Didn't that nigga just get shot like 5 fucking times? I'm sorry, what was that? Then that nigga got a fucking cut in his stomach. I'm sorry, what was that? Didn't he lose his way of communication? I'm sorry, what was that? And he been struggling this entire fight. I'm sorry, what was that? That's crickets? That's like I fucking thought. Over gas in that shit, boy. Just because you can sit something.
He told you. He told you.
What kills me though,
he had 50%.
is that not only has Danger Sense been shown to be like not the most powerful thing, but it also almost knocked him unconscious the first time he used it.
But that was like some sensory overload. Where he was like, and he's like nearly fried himself. He was like, I gotta go sleep.
Oh, by the way, I'm calling it now. When Shigaraki mopped the floor with that boy, I hope y'all niggas ready to hide. Cause the amount of shit I'll be fucking talking what I told you, motherfuckers. So, you thought off one was petty? Bitch, please, I got a list. And your name ain't getting off that motherfucker. I'm calling niggas out directly on Twitter, on stream, on Discord, and you ain't gonna have shit to say. Cause my motherfucking panel's gonna be talking while you doing your little workaround. I'm gonna stomp you niggas out. Think it's okay. Okay.
But them certified iron tipped Tims.
Y'all thought Deku was stomping some shit out? Thought he was kicking them bulls in prison? Okay, bad. Say less. I got something for y'all niggas. I tried to warn you. You didn't want to listen. Then you want to shit on horror culture. Say less. It's okay.
He got the verbal clip for y'all.
Don't even worry about it. It's all good, bro.
Like,
It's one of my favorite things where I just become his hype man.
well,
Start
okay,
hyping him up.
and that's the other thing is that Deku's like what they talked about with parallel processing, right? They're like, hey, your parallel processes aren't up to snuff yet. You're not able to like use this without really thinking about it. Which is why I think that the Junfa or the Fajin, sorry, Junfa is a character from Jigo Karaku where they use abilities similar to Fajin. So, uh, but so he might have only really used that to like enhance his body a bit as he jumped through the building and then turned it back off. But we don't know yet. We'll see. Like he might have just like activated as like a part of his state and he's just gonna jump up there, use it, and then try to one-shot her if he can without like causing too much damage. But if he's using Fajin, then that means he's doing like internal strikes. So we'll see how that goes. Because that she could also accidentally over damage. He could also over damage her, and we could end up getting into a conversation about like not using your power properly and almost splattering people. But we'll see.
I found it very interesting how even with the addition of 6 brand new piping hot abilities fresh out the quirk oven, you know, Deku still, yeah, there just hasn't been like, at least for me, like this breaking of the scale of the series.
Mhm.
Like, you'd think that with all this, like with 6 new abilities, you know, oh man, by the 3rd he's gonna be gas. You know, no one can mess with him. All right, only the top dogs can even touch the man. And here he is, and he's out here getting bodied behind the gun at long range.
Oh,
Even without danger sense, he would have gotten folded off rip.
oh, that's thank you, Squid. I'm trying to tell you, nigga. Hey, you know what, Pedro? You spitting. I think my biggest problem is how whenever anyone does something, is a problem. Oh, Deku is too OP, but if Shiggy does something, he is the best. You spitting. Like I said, hippo fucking crazy. Niggas want to cherry pick and pick and choose.
Oh yeah. So like that's the other thing is that people need to admit that they're more critical of anything good that a protagonist does um, in a way that they are not critical of villains. Like people will meme to death the Will of P and like One Piece, for example. Like we will meme and joke about like how it's bad, but like no, the Will of P.
The Will of P, yeah.
But like when you mention like, oh, Dofi shouldn't have been able to fix his organs from the Gamma Knife, you'll actually have a bunch of people like, no, it's like, what do you mean? Like, bro, what are you talking about? It's like, wait. So when the protagonist lived through dumb shit, that it's like, whoa, Pell should have died there. That was a nuke. I mean, come on. We can admit, like, oh yeah, this is kind of goofy. But then when like the villains do it, it automatically becomes like Kino or Raw. And sometimes it's just dumb. That's why like one of my favorite recent videos from Caleb City was he basically did like a skit on how like they like people will be like so dedicated to the plot they'll do dumb shit. And so it's like the dude gets like multiple powers while fighting the protagonist. And then he pulls like as the dude goes to stab him, he's like, I stabbed you in the heart. And he's like, no, actually what happened is you're such a good guy. You had second thoughts about what you were gonna do to me, and your sword blow deflected. You didn't even actually stab me. And he's like, this is terrible writing. Like, this is horrible.
Shit, that KF City is the goat, bro. That shit's so funny.
Caleb raw for that one.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like that is a real thing.
I saw
like,
his Sekiro video.
Yup.
Yeah.
Yup. And so, but there's like just this weird double standard that, or it's like anytime you see a rage moment with the villain, OMG, villain hot, da 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 da. But like if you see the same thing like from someone, oh well, like that's kind of generic, that's cliche, da da da. Like you always get there are certain things villains are allowed to do for people, or like villains can get payoff on like return on investment for their plot lines and their foreshadowing. But you look at like Deku's arm's still working. He's been working out. He's 9 times stronger than he was when he last got injured in a major way. And people are like, nah, fuck that. He shouldn't get a payoff.
Hey, and you know what? Poison Tree. So basically, people are angry because Hori is actually doing a great job power scaling in his story. Yes. Now watch this. People are so focused on does he knock her out or did she knock him out? I bet your culture, if you think like say, fighting is a thinking man game. It's not all about fucking
Fighting is 90% mental, to quote the GOAT.
There's not all power. It's not all power. It's about strategy matters too. Okay, and there's a number of offsets that can happen right now. Like niggas, but watch. Depending on what happened next week, watch niggas be like, "Oh, Deku didn't win because this. Nagant lost because she didn't get this." You see how niggas gonna be like, they're gonna switch from power scaling and who more powerful. It's gonna get.
They move the goalpost. They move the goalpost.
That niggas gonna get real technical about what counts as a win, what counts as a loss next week. Watch, depending on what side they on, I guarantee you.
And this is the worst thing.
Sunday, niggas gonna be like this. Oh, well, it's because this. Well, I don't like because he did like this, and well, he should have did this. Like, watch that shit.
Yeah, but it's like you also kind of see this in real life as well, where like they'll constantly make an excuse for why the guy lost. Oh, he didn't cut away that good, or he wasn't. If he was winning, then he would have won. Like that's how bad some of the excuses get in real life fighting. So when it comes to like actual anime, it's get 10 times worse.
Exactly. And
watch people become real technical. Like, hey, listen, if you took away like they're gonna come up to you, kind of like a guy in like an alley, like with like a big jacket, right? It's like, hey, listen here, Playboy. Without her sniper rifle, she wasn't gonna do nothing to Deku. But then you could just counter with, so if you took away the thing she was good at, she would have not been good at her job.
Okay,
you could say that for anyone, and I've even heard this in real life.
Okay,
like actual athletes.
I'm gonna be honest here. Like, people do that the most with series like One Piece. Like, I hate to go back to the One Piece
because I want to turn everything into a strength contest.
Well, because you'll be like, law is powerful, and they'll be like, well, that's just rude. I guess the devil's rude. It's like, yeah, but who's using it?
Yep.
Like I explained to somebody. They were like, oh, like this AP, and I was like, dude destroyed a mountain range. Like we had to zoom out of the entire island to see how far his attack was. And they're like, yeah, well, making a room that big cost his lifespan. They're like, what does that have to do with his EC? Like you switched it from his power doesn't count because it's a devil fruit to his power doesn't count because it has like potential side effects.
What they actually want to do is they actually just want to create like who hits the hardest scale. That's the only real way to win a fight, according to a lot of these meatheads.
Well, a lot of those meatheads need to get into a lot more real life fights because that's not how a fight is. That's part of it, but it's not the end all be all of it. Like as somebody that has gotten into a few fights in his day and who went through most of his school life wrestling and playing football and all that, like there are some mental gymnastics you have to go through. I can't tell you how many people I beat that were physically stronger than me, yet I know exactly where to hit you, or I know exactly where to bend you and pin you and win and get this championship. There's more to fighting than just punch harder. That's why all these people that won a power scale, what was their first series? DBZ.
But you went to state?
So, okay, so that's
unfortunately no.
That's like another thing that I want to talk about. Like,
because I would have said, like, wow, that's actually pretty impressive.
Like, when, like, my buddy and I would, like, spar in high school, and we do, like, because he was, like, a heavyweight, and I was, like, 150. Like, I was, like, 5'10" and 150. And he was, like, 5'6", but, like, 240. And, like, I had to, like, I learned how to bridge wrestling with him. And so it's like, a lot of y'all don't realize, like, knowing a bunch of stuff in your arsenal, like, makes a huge difference. I remember I was, like, sparring with one of my friends, and I, like, went for a feint, but we were kind of drunk, so, like, I, like, ended up completing the blow. But, like, it was supposed to be a feint that, like, got him to pull his face back so I could kick him in the ribs, but, like, he didn't move in time, so, like, I just, like, the blow, like, auto-completed, and it was just straight up a shot into his throat. Luckily, since it was supposed to be a feint, it was, like, a gentle tap, like, but, like, he still, like, right there, like, you don't need to be, like, super powerful. You can just hit somebody in the right spot.
Yep.
And then suddenly,
you know what's the funniest things? The best fighters in the world aren't even like the physically strongest. They're very physically strong, but they are not like in their division like the absolute like physically
No,
strongest.
they'll have like
They have
counter punches, stuff like
dozens of
that.
techniques, yeah. Whether it's on the ground, the feet, or whatever, man. And the reason why I bring up like real life fighting is you see the same thing. They're like, oh, he's the power puncher. He's supposed to win. And then you see this like drastically worse than fictional battles, where oh, he hits harder, so he should automatically win.
Well,
And then they just ignore the fact that it's one of the most complex activities you can do physically.
Let me, and Aniki, before you go, let me point out how bullshit the My Hero fandom is. And yes, a couple y'all niggas in here too was on that bullshit when I asked the question. And I wasn't even trying to trick y'all. I just wanted to ask a legit question. But then y'all kind of just like kind of prove something. So that's what I did. I just asked niggas, so y'all got a big meathead street brawler, or do y'all got a professional hired assassin that was gassed up at the top of the thing? Guess what nigga said to me?
What?
Deku got 45%. Deku winning, bro. Deku this, Deku that. When the fuck did I say anything about Deku? When has Deku ever been a fucking meathead street brawler?
yeah.
I never said anything. That wasn't even my intention to trick niggas about Deku. That was supposed to be Nagant versus Muscular. I said big meathead street brawler. Big meathead. When does Deku ever apply to those two fucking things? Niggas just so caught up in
fight with meat, like with Muscular, was literally like to highlight that he's not a meathead.
Yeah, literally, and the nigga was literally making comments, bro. Stop all the dodge. I just want to fight you, nigga. Show me what you showed me before, nigga. Show me, just punch me, nigga. Just punch me. Like, that's exactly what Muscular was talking about. Stop being a fucking smart ass. Just punch me, nigga. I want you to punch me as hard as you can. I was like, I wasn't trying to trick anybody. All y'all niggas did pull up. Deku got the fight, bro. Deku winning. Deku this, Deku that. I never fucking intentionally try to even hint at Deku. I literally made the descriptions with adjectives so that you could comprehend that I was talking about Muscular. But no, y'all want.
But I think with Muscular, he's not just like a meathead. The dude like actively, I think, has like negative fight IQ. Like he jumped into a building and rather than like, using the debris to attack him, he just flipped the building. Like, come on.
Actually,
think a little.
No. A table flip actually isn't that bad because you're destabilizing their footing.
Yeah, destabilizing his footing because he wouldn't have known that Deku had a bunch of extra quirks and Deku could recover like that. So in his mind, Deku just gonna bounce off or lose his footing because of that. And then while Deku was running, he would be able to get him, but he didn't know Deku had Danger Sense, Black Whip, etc. And then he was weakened. So like I said, Thinking Man game was a lot that went into the fight. It's not just Deku just one shot of Muscular. No, Muscular was at like fucking 50%. Because Shindo knocked all his fucking like power and HP down. He played a big ass role.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I knew when niggas started gassing niggas up. I was like, oh, see, hardcore should set y'all niggas up because y'all gonna hype up Deku. And I know Assassin was coming, but y'all gonna get all hyped up about Deku being all gas and this, that, and the other. And then when he get his ass mollywopped by Shigaraki, then y'all gonna be looking different.
And that's kind of what's funny about this is that very often I'm like, damn, I can tell you niggas have never been in a fight when power scaling gets discussed. And that's also why I don't I'm like, man, y'all can't be that goofy. Like, if this character is twice as fast and like comparable in fighting power, then the one that's strong but like getting lapped by twice the speed is still gonna end up having to lose just because even though he has got higher DC, he can't touch the other one. Ida's gonna fold a lot of people. And that the thing that I really, 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 really like about this episode is that especially this anime episode, is that it kind of highlighted why, especially like at the time, I said Bakugo is like the best in the class when if you look at like a technical angle, because
he's easily the best fighter technically. Yeah.
Especially like when you get to see it in motion, like with Bones, where like when Bakugo was doing some of his turns, he wasn't like, oh, I need to turn left, I'm gonna turn left. He actually like, boom, stop, break, spun, and then went in that direction. Like you have like all these like quick little like wrap around like spins, like pivots that factor in physics, timing, and all these other things. They're like, or when you think back to like the final exams arc when Kaminari and Mina get excited, so like, yes, we don't have to worry about going all out. Bakugo's like, man, my power is literally I explode niggas. And I'm not worried about killing people because I'm that technical with my quirk. Think about the way he like palmed Bondo's face in the JT arc. blows up his face, jumps over, shoots like 4 or 5 more. It's like all right, cool. I'm in a stable position and flies off and is like, all right, yeah, cool, you got this, Sato. Like, even if someone like Shoto has like a higher DC than him, in like most scenarios, I'm still picking Bakugo because he's just a smarter fighter with high DC, with high like output, with these like other things that like get factored in.
There's like I'd actually like to mention this. Like so much goes into the art, man. It's really a shame when people try to boil it down to, oh, he's big, oh, he's strong, oh, he
got
he
fired. He got fired.
That's
he hits.
Okay.
It's the dumb. Like it's really just like the physicality excuses that I ignore, especially when there's not a large skill gap. Like you also kind of see this with conversations about like Logan Paul versus like Floyd Mayweather.
So this reminded me of a conversation I had with somebody who's like been on stream before, but I'm not name dropping because I'm not going to be a dick.
All right.
But we had a conversation. They were like, "Well, if I have a 7'2" basketball player and you have a 6'2" basketball player, who's like obviously the 7'2" player is better?" And I'm like, "No, the 7'2" player may be more effective because he's bigger and has an easier time blocking the rim." But his shot accuracy, his actual handles, his ability to maneuver through crowds and steal the ball, etc., could all be worse than the 6'2" player. It's just that he's so big that he gets to offset that. But that's like the whole.
Yes, the physicality offsets natural like his disadvantages in terms of techniques or mechanics.
Right.
You see it all the time in sports. Like so you may not have the most technical grappler, but the guy is so strong, he's just able to force you into a position. Like and that happens all the time.
That's what happened to Brock Lesnar when he first joined the UFC. He was like really big and strong, and he managed to like overpower some people. And then he fought Frank Mir and got ankle locked and like done in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, that was my wake up call. I was like, you see, it's
although one thing I would note, Brock Lesnar was an elite college wrestler. I think he won a D1 championship.
I don't know. My point, moreover, that dude was elite. Like no when you're in when you're in the UFC, when you're in a mixed martial arts circuit, you're in a room with other people who are like smarter or like as smarter as you. And then, like, if you're fighting somebody who has like a Brazilian jiu-jitsu specialist, which I'm pretty sure Frank Mir is, that's one of his schools, like that was his grappling school. Then, like, and Arbla says, Haikyuu got me thinking like this, to be honest. So, like when you're like, if you got like Brazilian jiu-jitsu and then you're like, oh, I'm a standard wrestler, in a lot of ways, if you try to take that, like, oh, I just need to get him on his shoulders, that will cost you in a jiu-jitsu matchup. You put them on their back and then they roll up, bridge, grab your arm, and all of a sudden you're in a Brazilian arm bar and about to get your radius in your own to pop.
Yep.
Like
shout out, we got super chat from Arm Blast.
I hit that up.
You get it up?
Mm-hmm. Oh. Because what I was also gonna say to follow up that Haikyuu example is Kuroko no Basuke, because it's so exaggerated, especially highlights this. Because one of the people's powers is literally that he's a big nigga. So he just like jumps over people and it's like, boom, you can't get past my guard. Boom. I'm so big and strong that I have like this raw physicality that like when I jump and slam the ball, like you really can't check me. Like
you just can't build like I'm built different. Yeah.
Like that was like one of the main aspects of his ability. And like he had like actual technique, sure, but like that was the main thing about him. But then you had Kisei Ryota, whose thing was like perfect copy, and he was literally trying to like mimic and like copy, replicate the skills of other people, which would mean that on a technical level, he probably would have been the most impressive because he was able to copy the like long range 3-point shot. He was able to copy Almine's street basket and like all the other stuff. So it's like, yeah, like or like even if you look at Almine compared to the big dude, Almine wasn't going to be out here like blocking everybody, like jumping over all this stuff. But it didn't matter because his power was in his ability to break ankles, move, and get like trick angle shots. Or like look at the final villain of Kuroko no Basuke even. I can't remember his name right now, but the dude with the Emperor eye. What is his name? Hold up. This is bothering me now.
Emperor. Like just like technically, like the newest card with Cody and Rob, like the end of the fight, I remember doing like a 1-page like analysis on how a jab just controlled the pace of the fight. And Rob wasn't super strong compared to Cody, but he was smarter and he used and he was smart. He planned. He used his jab brilliantly in an MMA setting.
Yeah. Also, the name was Akashi. His whole thing was like he didn't even make a bunch of plays. Like he didn't like shoot the ball a lot. His biggest strength was that he like pulled up, crossed people over, and then like would occasionally get layups, but also like would intercept and control the flow of the ball. Like there's multiple ways to be strong. So in turn, like different matchups are going to matter more. And like even my hero kind of highlights this, where there's a lot of people that Tokoyami can just straight up fold.
Oh, I'm glad you brought this up because I was going to talk about
how tons of people Tokoyami can fold.
I was actually talking about this in that earlier. I was like, no one I realized Tokoyami be better off right now than Deku is. Because yes, he might not have danger sense, but danger sense ain't help a Deku either, more so to speak. But you can argue those bullets aren't getting through Dark Shadow's hide that easy because we seen with Moonfish, even if it did get through, that nigga's Dark Shadow wasn't affected by at night when he was going ballistic. Yeah. And then the destruction he could cause at that point, rampaging on the buildings. Like imagine Kong going crazy at night with a thicker hide. Just
and like, another example. Like let's look at because one of the cool things about the sports festival is that it kind of highlights like these are like the current top 4 in the class, and they are the top 4 for a reason. Because Bakugo versus Ida is a different matchup than, let's say, Bakugo versus Tokoyami was, or Bakugo versus Shoto in the semifinals would have been. So like, if you look at like Tokoyami is realistically never beating Bakugo, not because Bakugo is way better than him, but because that's just the matchup. It's not happening unless he completely sneaks Bakugo, and that's not a fight. That's like an assassination essentially. Yeah. Like that doesn't count. But like you look at like Ida versus Shoto, and the main thing, like the one thing that went wrong with that is partially just the fact that it was a practice fight, and the fact that like Ida like prioritized like capture, like throwing him out of the ring or whatever. Because if you think about it, if Ida had just like run in there, kicked that dude in the head, and then like kicked him like 3 more times like high speed, he probably would have been able to like kick the boy out of the ring. But it's not like who he was as a person. And like arguably Shoto could have made a nice ball to like stop the like next big kick or something like that, and that still would have like played out that way. But you kind of have like some flexibility. Whereas like Tokoyami versus Shoto wouldn't have been willing to use his fire, so that fight probably would have gone on for a while.
Tokoyami would have really busted through a lot of that ice because Todoroki ice ain't even that impressive.
Right.
I don't know who don't be breaking through that nigga ice.
Yeah.
Like twice broke through the ice with a tape measure.
Yeah, that shit is not that impressive.
So it's like there's a lot of like matchup being involved there that goes into like what makes you good or powerful or strong. Mm-hmm. That like some people are like, oh, like and that's why I always say that people need to like arguing about who's the strongest is not as important about who's the most effective fighter.
If you want to be technical, like Shoji and Sato after Deku are physically the strongest guys at 1A.
I mean, no, because not even
Deku say Deku yeah, but you wouldn't even say that Sato is like the number 1 fighter. No, that's foolish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, if we talking just hands, honestly, Ojiro would be just a bet. Like if we talking about strictly just hands without his
like just boxing, yeah.
Ojiro will probably be up there. Bakugo right below that nigga.
Mm-hmm.
And Kirishima would probably be like 3rd.
Like
then you got Deku's proper form kicks. I think that brings him up a spot, to be honest, because I've been waiting for him to finally start twisting with his hips, generate power. Come on, let's go.
But that basically this entire conversation man was my main point for Nagant. Niggas like he got super speed, super strength, 45%. Once he getting close, it's over with. No,
he literally said in this chapter too that it'll be dangerous the closer he gets to her.
Like she had to catch her off like from the back off guard on some real genius plan on his part. Shout out to my boy. But like that was the thing. He had to use a fucking like a plan. He could like just to get in close to her. And that doesn't mean like even at that, let's say they spin up right and he tosses her back down. Correct, right? If he lets go without putting more force on her, guess what she can simply do? what the fuck she's been doing this entire time? Using airwalk to move and break down momentum, and using her fucking sniper in her arm to recoil back and slow down, and being able to take a less impact because niggas can take impact. And like Endeavor took a fucking, he taking a blow, was taking blows from Low Shigaraki. So was Ryuku, and still holding on. So was Deku, and Shigaraki was an absolute fucking menace. Like they can 45%. Like yeah, it took muscle out, but he was already weakened. Like he can fucking like she could take. She could, I don't know if she could take that 45, but she could take that some damage, some fall through some buildings, or like come on now, bro. Like I tell you, because you're a woman, like she can't take a punch.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, but like, do
Not
y'all
to
got anything
mention,
else?
you got to keep in mind it's also like a fictional world.
Yeah,
You necessarily don't have to like keep in mind like 100% like physiology from the real world.
they're mutants anyway. They don't
Yeah.
apply to the same rules as us.
All right. So my question also is somebody eating? Anyway.
I just had a pineapple. It was pretty good, to be honest.
Damn, why you do pineapple like that, bro?
I mean, it wasn't. I mean, it was pretty silent. Wasn't very vocal.
I can't believe you ate that nigga like that, bro.
Anyway, final thoughts, Squid.
Altogether, I do like this showcasing of a more tactical Deku. I like how the practicality of the fight was mixed in with the choreography. She's altogether, it's a very intelligent fight that they're fighting. You know, Nagant is using, you know, the physics of the airwalk and her recoil to essentially turn her into a mobile cannon. You have Deku, you know, using the smoke as essentially a barricade from fire to plan a route to where he's able to reach her. The art in general, in terms of scaling, was very good. I found very consistent results between the two frames, which is how I was able to calculate the overall area, which is actually really consistent to the distance we were initially given, um, around 1.8 kilometers squared. So that's actually really good. Altogether, I do have some, not worries, but I do have some hopes that the consequence that will come from him using the third's quirk without any training will come back to bite him to where it costs him the fight. That's what I believe is being hinted at. And ultimately, this isn't necessarily about the chapter itself, but I do think we need a severe consequence for him soon. Like the arm stuff, that was payoff for him getting stronger. I accept that, but after that, I need some. I need his arrogance to really be uh, paid off in terms of consequence. Also,
Right.
one more thing. No, just one more thing. Please, for those who wants to keep saying, "Oh, you know, he's strong, he's fast," uh, please learn the complexities of martial arts and fighting in general. It really won't hurt. Not, very rarely will something boil down to big and strong at a level where someone is trained.
Also, real quick, another year. I'll be disappointed if we leave this arc without going deeper into Midoriya's thoughts, mindsets, and situations from Midoriya's POV, not other people's point of view. Combat-wise, this has been great. I think it's kind of an inevitability, especially once we see how this All Might plot goes. I think a lot of the emotional stuff in Deku is being saved for when we see what happens with All Might. So if like All Might actually gets killed here, and like Deku has to like deal with the corpse, that's when we finally get the flashback of him talking about like Gran Torino died. That's when we get like those kinds of moments where instead of it being like, it's like, no, now he's lost every master. That is like every real master, and then we'll see whatever happens with what's going on with Endeavor, Genus, and Hawks, because like realistically, they're going to have a response too, so they might show up in time or like figure out like scanning the perimeter where he just was. This also could potentially set up for that, you know, that Toga Hawks interaction that people want. So, but I do think that over the next 4 or 5 chapters,
Also,
we should be getting the Deku POV.
Also, we're gonna get a Nagant's backstory soon. I think
Oh yeah,
that's what
we're gonna get more of Nagant's backstory for sure.
I personally find
Hopefully.
that we're gonna learn that she was framed, or the person she killed was ordered by the government, and they left her for dead. It ties back to Hawks, essentially the commission statement to Hawks, where, hey, listen, you get found out, we ain't giving you nothing.
That's where I'm at on her too. I think that like she
Yeah.
basically was ordered by the government to do something, and then when she got caught, they were like, "Damn, this bitch a traitor."
She was crazy the whole time.
So yeah, Walkins.
Good chapter overall. I like where everything's going. All Might just keeps waving his death flag, and if anything, his little moment here solidified why he kind of just needs to die soon. But that's just me. Because we could speculate all we want, but Horikoshi's got this. I trust in
Gas
him.
pack.
I trust in him to give us something satisfying that will make sense, because he's proven that time and time again. But overall, great chapter. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, Archbishop East.
Ooh-wee. Move that shit out the way. I just want to talk about one of the biggest like things. Like it's like one of these people is like this reoccurring guy named Thomas, right? He's a real big supporter of all for dad plotline. And he's one of the people that truly believe that series ending soon. I keep trying to tell him, but I mean, I don't know, man. It's just he's one of the lost souls, but I think we can save Thomas. But you know, one day we'll save Thomas from thinking that Bakugo and Deku need to team up to beat Shigaraki, and he said something like Bakugo Deku was teaming up with Shigaraki to defeat All For One. That's what Thomas has said. So, Thomas, we're gonna get you out of there, man. It's okay. But man, listen,
you're gonna be saved, brother. We're just playing. It's all love.
Yeah, I'm not. He actually said that. But nah, man, listen. I asked for Horikoshi, and this nigga don't do nothing but deliver. Them shots when my girl was in fucking sky, looking down, like bro, on her pain gimmick, on her Gojo and Shibuya gimmick, son. I'm like, bro, you gotta fucking kidding me. Like, bro, I know I asked for nighttime shit, but I ain't asked for fucking flying baddie assassins shooting down Deku from the sky and Deku changing the entire ties with new quirks, like with smoke all over the ground. Like, nigga, oh my fucking god. Like, he kept showcasing the panels, and I was just like, bro, chill, nigga. I know these niggas, but the niggas like, the daughter was like, man, I like drawing again. I just want to get better. Like 2 chapters later, he gonna pull out the Deku biting Shigaraki's finger off panel with the tendrils, and I'm like, nigga, but it just keep expanding. Like I keep telling people, every arc, Horikoshi's art changes and evolves. Every arc, you can look at arc to arc, it evolves. And this shit, I'm scared what the damn art may look like by the end of the series. But you got super chat. I'll pause real quick.
That's the God pack.
I got you, bro.
Okay.
I used to type comments about Spider-Man. So what I got from the last topic is that Shadow was bottom of one of the class.
Hey, when it comes to throwing hands, yes, that's undeniable. And nigga in the bottom 3 when it comes to throwing hands.
Let me tell you something. His boxing is on the same level as Ben Askren.
I mean, Kagura got more hands than him from when I seen, but hey, back to chat.
There's like, think of like an old lady that like waters her plants near like an olive garden. She has a better jab than Shoto. How about that?
Damn. Chill out. Well, nah, man, these nighttime chapters, I told you, we had this bitch like Gotham City. This is literally like a Batman fucking time right now.
Hey, this actually kind of reminds me of the boss battle, Batman versus Deadshot in is it Arkham City or no? It's Arkham City. Yeah.
I bet you playing them games too, man. I bet you playing Spider-Man PS4. That nigga ain't slick. Nah, man, I'm absolutely loving the shit we getting, but what don't I love? Fuck. I just want to take time out about somebody talking about. I hope we continue on Deku's POV. Why would we go anywhere else? He's the main focus of this arc. So yes, we will continue to get in Deku point of view, and we've gotten a lot lately too, and I'm really enjoying it, and I know you guys are too. So, listen, Horikoshi knows what the fuck he's doing. All right, ain't no reason to be worried about other niggas in UA coming. When they come, they come. Horikoshi's not worried. Just like NBA existed and Deku wasn't nowhere to be found because them niggas ain't had nothing to do with the arc. 2A ain't got shit to do with this arc right now. They chilling, all right. They good over there. They doing their own shit in Hero Streets. This is about the plot right now. We're not
watch when
from the other niggas.
Listen, when Deku gets folded in that rematch with the God, the GOAT, the God King himself, Tomura Shigaraki, when he comes back and he comes back hitting, smoking that pack, that's when we're gonna see them again, and they're gonna see him at his down atrocious state.
Yeah, good. Yeah, man. Absolutely fucking beautiful. Next week, I'm remember y'all nigga. You better leave the messages now, cause Discord, y'all niggas gonna be trying to define what counts as a win, what don't count as a win, and cherry picking and nitpicking and all.
Or
this
how the win doesn't really matter because she wasn't physically stronger.
Exactly, and this time
I know y'all about to do that strength scaling and then equivocate it to power scaling. I know how y'all work.
Talk about it's gonna be bullshit, but hey man, listen, I don't give a fuck. I always win and I never lose. You know why?
50-0, Floyd Mayweather type.
You know why?
Rocky Marciano.
Because Kohei Horikoshi, the motherfucking GOAT, nigga, he write every single chapter. Why you talking about 313, 314? That nigga on 350. Stop talking to me.
Joey Calzaghe hype.
GOAT. Peak fiction out of fucking 10. Undefeated of the East, baby.
We simply don't miss out here. We're crossing people up like the answer. Because, like Iverson, I'm answering y'all questions. Same as Horikoshi.
All right, I love and appreciate everybody that came through today, even the bishops that couldn't make it. Shout out to everybody who pulled up. Make sure you drop them Hail Hories or the Aurelias, as Alves likes to do. I see you. I love that. Y'all have a wonderful day. And I'll look into finally getting that shit on a t-shirt.
And learn how to box.
Y'all be safe. Learn about fighting. Don't let dumb niggas influence your opinions. And remember, don't share bad tweets as screen caps on Twitter. Stop recording the bad caps. If you're gonna post stuff, post good analysis. Stop giving bonus attention to bad MHA analysis. Thank you for your time. Y'all
or just bad analysis in general. Don't spread cap.
Yeah, that too. I'll see y'all next Sunday. Or for those of you who actually watch solo content, you'll see